I guess because you're used to the normal dynamics in anime,
Yeah.
where they're like, oh, a hot girl turns up and he wants to have sex with her. But then he actually just starts fucking her.
Yeah, he just starts fucking her. I'm like, who is this Chad? Like, I've never seen such a big Chad in anime before. What the fuck?
Welcome to Trash Taste. I'm your host, Connor, and I'm tired as fuck.
Great intro.
We all just did a very strong coffee. But I'm again with Joey.
Hi.
And Garnt.
Hello.
No nicknimes today. I just didn't think to do that. I don't know
Man, we're
why.
keeping it simple today,
Yeah,
are
I
we?
guess so.
I mean, that's who we are, right?
I'm very tired.
tell.
Every day before we do an episode, I wake up at 7 a.m. to go to a Japanese class for 2 hours.
How's that going for you?
It's going.
It's going forward.
Sometimes you're too tired to learn things. And I remember being like this in university. I would be like asleep, basically.
Yeah.
But then they make you talk. So I kind of...
Yeah, like how's it going for you? Because like me and Connor have gone very different routes in terms of how we've approached learning Japanese. Because you've taken classes, and I'm like completely like self-taught because I realized in university how classes really like slowed me down in terms of my learning process.
Yeah.
Just the biggest problem I've encountered is self-discipline.
Well, that's exactly why I wanted lessons. Because the way I see it, right, lessons are like, okay, if I'm keeping up with these lessons, these are like the bare minimum that someone at any mental capacity can learn Japanese, right?
Right.
So if I'm learning it at this structured course that anyone can do, right, I should learn X amount of Japanese.
Yeah, because
minimum.
we know
Right.
that like everyone who's like homeschooled doesn't actually like do anything.
And
right?
also, I'm like a liar, dude. I lie to myself a lot. Like when I say I'm going to learn Japanese, I will do everything in my power to like think that I'm learning Japanese, but not do it.
during the quarantine, because at this point in the episode, it's pretty much done in Japan.
post-quarantine,
It's pretty
yeah.
much open. But like during the quarantine, because Connor, you couldn't go to Japanese lessons, right?
Yeah.
You had to do like Zoom lessons.
I hated Zoom.
And you were telling me that like most of the time you were just playing Arknights. You were just like, yes, I am listening, teacher. It's like,
Okay.
oh,
Yes.
new unit.
Problem was, right, is that I was in my class is mainly like housewives and like people who are much older than me.
Yeah.
Right.
So a lot of them weren't tech savvy. So they were all spending 10 minutes saying, hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Meanwhile, I'm like already set up. I've got my whole YouTuber set up, right? I've got like 2 monitors, 3 mobile phones, you know what I mean? Like,
You got the green screen in the back.
yeah.
The pro streamer setup.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right. And like, it's just like when I'm at my PC, I'm doing everything but what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right.
So I got 2 monitors, right? So I can also put my webcam wherever the fuck I want. So when they're like, "Are you looking?" and I'm like, "There," I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm like doing work on the other monitor. Else. Like, and I know you're like, well, Connor, you're paying for those lessons. Why would you not do it? I don't know. I paid to be in class, like,
Yeah, exactly.
That's like university in a nutshell, though.
Yeah, why
I
would
mean, you're paying to be here. You're paying to learn.
Right.
Oh, why do I have to go to classes, though?
Yeah, I don't have to. I could just study from home.
like I hate going to the class and having to do that and be back in that environment because I wanted to get out of that, but at the same time I am learning stuff. Like it is slow, and I do a lot of study in my own time, mainly kanji, because they don't teach us kanji.
Yeah.
in my
They don't
class.
teach you kanji?
It's practical Japanese, so it's all supposed to be for like speaking and getting by. Because
okay.
to reiterate, when I say classes, I think most people will assume like every day. I do classes 2 times a week for 2 hours. That's it.
Yeah.
So not a lot of time to learn a language, really. Right. So
That's better than nothing, I guess.
Oh yeah, it's much better than doing nothing, right?
Exactly. Because for me, like I've tried to focus less on the reading and just pure conversational for me.
Yeah.
And actually, one thing that's really helped with that is not watching anime, actually, but watching, but watching virtual YouTubers. So I've really gotten into watching virtual YouTubers for the
Really?
past few months. Yeah.
Who are you into?
Asakoko is probably my favorite one at the time. Right now, she just had her 3D debut. I'm sounding like a total fucking degenerate.
Is
right
that
now.
the one you like simped over in Super Chat?
Yeah, I saw that all over Twitter was Garnt was simping.
I just didn't want. Okay. I was very drunk at the time, and I saw she was having like her first 3D debut, and I'm like, I'll just fucking throw her like $30, whatever.
Yeah.
And then like as soon as I did, like my Twitter notification just like fucking exploded.
Gigaki simping over this VTuber.
Imagine getting caught simping, but over a virtual YouTuber.
No, because like it's actually really helped my Japanese way more than watching anime. Because with watching anime, like I don't know what the anime watching experience has been for you, Connor, since you've started learning, but for me, I found it a lot more difficult to watch anime now that I'm learning Japanese because you know when you like read the subtitles,
Yeah.
and then you kind of understand what's going on. So you want to like try to listen in to what's being said, but because you do that, you kind of just miss what's on the subtitles.
Yeah.
That's like been my anime watching experience recently, and well,
I imagine Joey's just on his throne here, being like, "Yes, tell me more about your struggles."
What are these subtitles you speak of?
Okay, one thing that I noticed that bugs me is that now that I know, like, I'd say like a very basic amount, right? Very minimal,
Yeah.
like not enough to watch an episode and be like, "Yep, I understood all of that," but enough to like get some sentences, right? Is that when I read the subtitles, and obviously because in Japanese, sometimes the subject at the end of the sentence in English,
Right.
Yeah.
it's normally at the start in Japanese. So
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
you'll see a subtitle that comes with the other half of the sentence, so you're hearing the sentence that's gonna come up.
Yeah.
and it's like you're like Jonathan Joestar,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
just like I
I know
know,
what you're gonna say.
your next line is gonna be.
Yeah, because it kind of messes with you, and then also like just watching any hentai, it's really frustrating because I'm more like I realize like 2 minutes in I'm starting to be like, okay, what are they saying? I mean, oh yamero, stop.
Kimochi means
Oh,
feels
kimochi.
good. Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
I guess
Soda
though,
stop.
I guess though it makes sense to like watch VTubers though to like learn Japanese because like you know these are real people.
No, exactly.
Who are like speaking right. They just look like anime, but like
Yeah.
their mannerisms and their phrasing, even though you know they might be playing like a character, right?
Yeah,
it's still like a real person.
Because it feels like they're having an actual conversation. Because you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
watching an anime and you hear a conversation, you know, you're like, no one, I've never
This isn't
actually.
a real conversation.
This isn't a real conversation that's happening right now.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm like zoning most of it out. Whereas when I'm watching a YouTuber, it feels like a genuine like a Japanese conversation. Like you're actually hearing a story the way like any person you talk to Japan would talk like.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's been like way more useful for me in learning Japanese than it has been watching anime.
Also because I guess like with VTubers again, they're like real people, right? So like the speed that they talk at as well is very real. And
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
not like overly accentuated.
Yeah.
So it actually makes more sense to like get used to that kind of speech
Yeah.
speed than like so nano? Like no one talks like that, right?
No, because you know, like it's like the anime voice acting voice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is not how real people talk like. And this
Right.
is true in like I'd say dub as well. You know, you hear like a dub voice actor or like a dub performance, and you're like, this isn't how real people talk. This isn't how English people, English people talk.
of course.
It's very anime. You know, so
Yeah.
so it's like it's more like watching a live streamer. So it's been like I'm not going to say I'm not going to say that's the only reason I've been into VTubers, but it's actually if you're trying to learn Japanese, I'd say VTubing is much more useful than learning.
It's educational, I swear.
Than watching anime, because watching anime now for me has become a lot harder.
And you get the joy of finding that one VTuber you can simp. Right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, that's my one.
It is a little bit annoying to watch anime sometimes, but then also now sometimes I can look away just for a second and I can still understand what they said roughly because I'll know like 3 of the 5 words that they say, and off that I
right.
can kind of piece together what was being said.
Isn't that such a like a gratifying moment though?
It really is, and
Yeah.
I was going to say as well, like one thing that I found really helpful and I thought I would dread is like learning kanji. I think learning kanji is so interesting. I know you love your kanji.
Yeah.
But learning it has been so fun because when it slowly starts to make sense, it feels like an RPG where you're unlocking the world where you live.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I can slowly start to read stuff. And then there's like multiple different like ways to read a kanji, and then when you like know both, it's like I'm kind of
You're like that one isekai pro tag who's
Right,
just like
right.
comes in and is like, what does this say? I don't know. And then like 12 episodes in, it's like, yeah, I get it.
yeah, it's been really helpful for like just learning, like speaking it in general, because a lot of the words have the same pronunciation, and then obviously kanji is the like way to differentiate.
Yeah, kanji like holds the meaning, right?
Yeah. And sometimes reading a whole sentence in hiragana is like a fucking nightmare.
It is a nightmare. It's weirdly enough, like if for people who like have no idea about Japanese, it might be hard to like think about, but a full on like hiragana or katakana sentence is so difficult to read sometimes.
Yeah.
Whereas kanji is just like, oh yeah, I know exactly what that means. I know exactly how to read it.
It's the way I see it is that in English is that how we don't need to read the word, we know the shape of the word. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We can see a word, I know the shape of the word, I can read it, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's how kanji is to Japanese people, where they don't necessarily read it, but they recognize the
shape, yeah.
and then they just know what's being said in the sentence.
Because have you seen that video where you can read like an entire paragraph where if it's the word is the first letter is the same, the last letter is the same, and then you swap all the letters in the middle, you can still read what's going on. Just because of how your fluency works.
Yeah.
And I feel like it would be the same with kanji as well.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
It is the same, but instead of the first and last letters, it's like, does this have one line in it or two? Like, you just have to it's that, but just squinting really hard.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, I think.
Yeah, there are some where there's so many lines where I'm like, how the fuck do people just like read it this fast? Like it's
I mean, the more difficulty is when you start to write it, right?
True.
That's when it starts to get difficult.
Yeah, because I have like an app, and then it vibrates my phone if you do the wrong stroke order. It's like, no. It's like, that's not how you do it. I mean, it's been good though, because whenever I write a kanji out in my class in like the right stroke order, the teacher's like, like in the TV shows.
Yeah,
right? What the fuck? Like.
Because like you never really think about something like stroke order, you know what I mean? Which stroke order is basically the order you write it in.
Yeah, because like I write my S's the wrong way in English, and people freak out.
I've seen you write your S.
So Hugh, tell people how you write your S's.
You're supposed to do it from top to bottom, right?
Yeah, most people do it like
I
like
do it. I
that.
do it from the bottom up, and then like swish down with the cursive. I don't know why.
I'm like, how did you learn that?
I was like, dude, I was so bad at English in school. So to clarify, right? Like, okay, I'll just start the story with this. We'll start strong, right?
Okay.
I was so bad at English that they like put me with the kids who, were not good at anything, like I was in like the English class for 1 year with like kids with learning disabilities,
right,
and I remember being like, dude, what the fuck? Like, because I've always been like really good at most subjects in school, and to clarify, the reason why my English was so bad is because the only reading and writing I ever did was in Welsh, because my school was Welsh, so everything I spoke in school and read was in Welsh. But I obviously knew how to speak English, obviously. And then, I remember we did like an English spelling test. And I got like everything wrong. Bear in mind, I was like 8. And I couldn't, I remember they said like, oh, can you spell the word said for us? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I just put like,
S-E-D.
I put like, or like Z-E-D, right? And then my parents were like, oh no. And bear in mind, like I never read anything in English. Reading at all, it was just always video games. So and I forgot why did the story come up? I forgot why I was saying this now.
Because your S is weird.
Yeah, so I think I learned how to write, because in English as well, they in school they teach you the stroke order. I guess.
Do they? I can't remember this.
I mean, I learned it when we had to. I don't know if this is only in Australia, but like, I think I was in like 4th grade or something.
Because you have those papers which are half width and full width.
Yeah, and you have to. I learned how to do it when we learned to write cursive.
Yeah, because I wrote in cursive, and it kind of became a thing where for some reason I just started writing some of them weirdly, and no one ever stopped me. And so I've always done like, I'll go into like the A, and then I'll go down and then do the S up and then slash down.
How do you write the number 5? Do you go from the bottom or do you go from the top?
It depends, I guess. Like whatever the situation.
What do you mean it depends?
Yeah. I don't know. Like sometimes.
How does that work?
There's only one way to do it.
Most of the time I would do it from the top, but I remember distinctively I was doing it from the bottom for a while, and then I stopped that. But I also used to write my 4s like the correct way of doing. How do you learn to write 4s in Australia?
I do it this way.
I do it that way.
That's the way I learned. But then I remember I was playing brain training, and they wouldn't accept that way of writing 4s. This is when I was like 11. So then I started having to write 4s in the Americanized way, which is doing that way. And then
like that?
That's the Americanized way?
Well, it's I think so. Yeah, where you do like it looks like a kind of like spiky 9, right?
I don't think I write any letters starting from the bottom.
No,
like, I'm like always.
Wait, how do you do your 4s?
Like this.
Oh yeah, I do it the opposite way. I think. Yeah.
So like you do it from the bottom.
Yeah, from the bottom, and then I go.
How the fuck do you do that?
I don't know, man.
Yeah, it just feels so weird.
So in school, did you have to learn English literature and language?
What's the difference?
Because they were 2 different subjects for us in school.
Oh no, we just had English.
Oh shit! Because see, I had to learn English literature, English language, Welsh literature, and Welsh language. And I fucking hated doing that many.
Oh, okay. Because I think for us, like maybe it's just my school, but like it depended on the day of the week. So like on like it was like on Mondays we go through like a literature for like the term that we have to study, and then on like Wednesdays we like got to like do something else, like watch a movie or like study a different text for like a certain thing, or like how to read an essay and write an essay on Fridays and shit like that. So yeah, we didn't. I think it's because my school was just very small as well, so there probably wasn't enough English teachers in our school to be like, you're the literature one and you're the comprehension one, you know.
Yeah.
How does it feel like learning a new language as you're older now, though, compared to when you were a kid? Because, like, I remember we had to learn a lot of the other languages when we were in school. We had to learn like Spanish, French. Didn't take any of that shit. No. But it's been like a really different challenge learning Japanese as like a grown adult, I would say. Because I don't know, has the fact that you were very much into Japanese culture and watching anime helped you at all from your perspective?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's made it easier, but like easier with an asterisk, right?
Yeah,
it's like easier to understand some concepts culturally that might explain some of the language, right? Which is great. But at the end of the day, it doesn't help me like in a crazy amount.
Yeah.
I think it just helps me understand why certain things are the way they are in a language.
Yeah.
You know, why is it like, you know, why you can't be direct to someone? Why it's always sumasen or chotto, you know, like it's never, you know, and I guess because sometimes when you're learning the language, you're like, why can't I just be like direct? You know, and that's not a thing. You can't do that. That's it. That's too aggressive.
Yeah. I think learning Japanese for me, I didn't realize how much I kind of just zoned out Japanese when I watched anime before.
Oh yeah, you do. You filter it out because you're like, that's nonsense to me. I'm focusing on this.
You're just like absorbing the subtitles and you kind of just mute out the Japanese. And I didn't realize that until I started learning when I actually picked out individual, like how the sentence works and how the language actually works, that I realized, oh, this didn't help me a lot at all.
But I find it really hard in my head to recommend learning language to people because I feel like if you're not going to like actually do it, it's kind of a waste of time.
I know, it takes commitment.
Yeah, that's what I've always said to people though about Japanese.
And it's one of those things where like learning Japanese, especially if you're not going to do it full time, it's like at least a 5-year thing that you have to commit to. And if you quit 2.5 years in, you know,
but that's the problem, right? Is that like so many people, I get fucking emails about it all the goddamn time, being like, "What's the easiest way to learn Japanese?" There is no easy way to learn Japanese. You just have to sit down and just be like, "Am I about to commit 5 to 10 years of my life to learn this shit?" Yes, go for it.
It's like any like skill chart, right? Where it's like the first like getting over the first real difficult like bump is the hardest, and once you get past that, you've gone through a challenge, you've overcome it. Normally you can keep going. That's the same with any craft, right? Like voice acting as well, like photography, anything, right?
YouTube,
right? There's always like going to be that first point where you think you're starting to understand it. And then you'll get to that point where you're like, fuck, I know nothing about what I'm getting into.
Exactly.
And it's that point where if you keep going and actually like start to, you know, really put in the work, you'll probably see some results, but a lot of people quit at that point.
Because like I'm always really paranoid, and this is true in my life and whenever I'm like doing a playthrough of a game, right? When I'm doing something and it's just sub-optimized.
Yes.
And sometimes I like paralyze myself because I'm just like, what if I'm not doing this most optimal way? Is this wasted time? I'm so scared of wasting my time. So when I first started learning Japanese, I spent more time trying to figure out the best way to learn Japanese than actually learning Japanese.
It took me like that.
I guess you're the opposite to me in that sense. Like I do video games, I'm definitely like that. I'll maximize the shit out of video games. But everything else in my life, I'm like, it's good enough.
I'm kind of the opposite with video games. I'm just like video games.
Yeah, you are.
Video games are just made to be like fun and time wasting.
Yeah, because I'll talk to Jerry about video games that we're both playing, and I'll be like, you know, this is like 2% more efficient to do this like this method, right? And Jerry's like, bro, I don't give a fuck.
And I'm like, I've already put 60 hours into this game. Like I don't care.
Like that's how I view learning a language, though. I'm like, as long as I'm learning something in the language that I can view as somewhat useful, I'm sure it's not a waste, right? Like I feel like there's no route to learning a language. Like any bit you learn of it is like it's putting the jigsaw together.
And it depends on the person, right? At the end of the day.
No, because
some
people
are
crazy.
Thing. Yeah. Like everyone has a different path. Everyone learns differently, and you're not going to discover the best way you learn unless you actually just go out and fail at something. Right. Like I didn't fucking know I would waste like a month on Duolingo.
I wasted a lot of time on Duolingo.
I did.
Don't use for like other languages, European languages. I'm pretty sure it's pretty good, but I'd say for Japanese, it was not very useful.
It was
throwing kanji at you right from the get go, like, and not explaining why you need to learn it or what this
is. That
is.
sounds efficient.
It was like teaching me the kanji for window. Like
That's
one of the
difficult
first
one
things.
too.
Yeah, it was hard. And like seat, kanji for seat. And I thought, like, why are you teaching me this shit? Like, I don't even know the kanji for Monday. Like, why would you teach me window? I don't need to know this. Like, I don't even think window is in like the top 100 most used kanji. So why are you teaching?
No, it's pretty uncommment to see.
Why, like I feel that the way it went, Duolingo went about it. We're never gonna get a Duolingo sponsorship, by the way. It was not good. I mean,
and if we do, you can call us out on that.
it's like Duolingo is a way it like tricks you into thinking you're learning.
No.
Like,
you know a lot of like
useless
disparated
shit.
like pieces of information that you can never piece together as a whole to use anywhere, basically.
Yeah, and it's a shame because I feel like you don't really realize that you're being mugged off by Duolingo until like you actually start learning it properly, and then you're like, I literally have no use for anything I learned on Duolingo because it was such a mess. I remember distinctively, right? Like I didn't even know how to say any sentences, but they were teaching me how to read the kanji of Kyoto and Tokyo.
Yeah,
and I'm like, that's cool,
Yeah.
but like I don't need to know this.
Yeah,
like I genuinely don't.
If you go to Tokyo and Kyoto, it's written in fucking English.
Yeah. It's like this is something that I don't need to know. What I would like to know is how do I say like, oh, I recommend this. You know, I think. You know, like I didn't know how to say I think or anything like that. Right?
It's like
Basic
Duolingo.
shit.
I don't need to know if this is a pen. Okay, I know this is a pen. I know what an apple is. I don't have to ask what an apple
But
is.
you know, there was some good stuff there. I'm not saying it's all bad, but I just felt like the structure was all over the place.
Yeah, because I remember when we first moved, before we moved to Japan, me and Connor were on Duolingo for like a good month and a half, I reckon, before moving to Japan. And then we got here and we were like, oh, we don't know shit. So we need to start off by learning Hiragana and Katakana.
Yeah.
And I remember we just like, I sat down and I Googled like what the best memorization techniques were. And then I found this memorization techniques. I can't remember what it's called. I think
We'll link it. We'll link it in the description.
it's like mnemonics or mnemonics. I can't remember the exact pronunciation of it. And then I learned all of Hiragana and Katakana in like one day.
Yeah.
And then I told Connor, yo, this shit works. And Connor was like, nah, I don't know about this. And then I linked him the same article and he comes back to me like 3-4 hours later and like, bruh.
I can read.
It's a bra moment.
It was crazy. Like it was like I said earlier, like when you go outside and like you've unlocked the world because like you can start suddenly reading McDonald's menus with no.
Is that the one where is the mnemonics thing where it's like you?
Yeah,
it's like shape based.
Yeah. So it would make you assign like and to be fair, this is how like memory champions memorize stuff. They assign stories and shapes and objects to the memory, and that way they can recall them much easier. So it would say like ku, which is the one that's like that. They were like, it's a chef's hat.
Yeah.
Think of a chef's hat when you see this symbol for like cooking.
Like a chef's hat.
I mean, it's kind of like a very
it's like a really
okay.
dumb.
Hat.
It was like a sign because then you remember that's kind of dumb that it's time to do that. But then you remember when you see it, oh, it's that dumb thing.
You remember the dumb shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's really stupid, but it made you remember it
because it's like counterintuitive, right? Because by remembering more stuff, you remember one stuff better as opposed to just repeating the same thing over and over.
Right.
But the best way I've heard an explanation for it is that it's kind of like your memory is kind of like a filing cabinet, right?
Yeah.
So if you just have one random piece of information that you just randomly file, it's very, very hard to just find that random piece of information. But you have if that information is got a bunch of other information that relates to that, then it's much easier for you to like find it in your memory. So that's why you can just recall things a lot easier.
I definitely feel like that. Like I find that learning symbols for me is like way easier than learning like anything else. Like that's why like kanji's been pretty fun so far.
Yeah, you're definitely like a person who like remembers stuff like visually, right?
Yeah. When I like if you give me like a set of numbers, I can normally remember the numbers like decently well.
Right.
Like so learning kanji is great because like I love just putting like 100 symbols in a program and just making it test me over and over. And I'll do that for like hours until I can remember all 100, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I do. And I find that really easy.
Well, that's at the end of the day, that's what is probably the most effective, right? It's just fucking rote learning.
Yeah.
That
You
shit.
literally just need to like force that shit in your head by just like doing it. And at least the good thing about doing that here in Japan is that if you then force yourself to learn all those symbols, is that you just walk outside and you're like, oh.
Yeah, you can like use it like practically, right?
Yeah. Like there's somewhere I'm like, I'm never gonna fucking like, why would I need to know this kanji? And then like 2 seconds later, I'm on the train and the place has one of the kanjis in their name.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, bro.
I get it.
Yeah.
Which is like a question for you, Joey, which is I have always been curious, like how much studying have you done? Because a lot of people assume that Joey's Japanese is like a second language, right? And it's completely wrong. Joey has a second first language.
Yeah, pretty much.
A lot of people don't know this, but Joey's Japanese is better than most Japanese people.
Yeah.
It's...
Oh, yeah, because I had no idea how good your Japanese was. I just kind of thought that you were, like, decent at it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, but then I came here and then you were teaching kanji to, like, 40-year-old people. And then they were like, what the fuck?
I was like, it was in this studio.
Yeah.
We were like having a party, and like we had like 3 people from our company, all Japanese. And I was like teaching them about like different kanji structures and shit. They were like, I'd never heard of this shit before. And I'm like, how have you never heard of it before? It's so simple. Yeah. I did a lot. Like a lot. Like when I say, I've said it in videos, but like when I've said like I've studied my entire life, like I'm not joking. I've studied my entire life. Just to put it in perspective, when I was like maybe 10 years old, you know what I used to do for fun?
What?
I used to read the kanji dictionary.
Wow.
I would literally.
Seriously?
I was that one kid. My parents probably thought I was like borderline autistic because like I would like sit in my room as a 10-year-old and I'm like, I got nothing better to do, and I would just go to my mum's bookshelf, just take out this massive 2,000 page kanji dictionary, and just open up to a random page and just read it. For like hours on end. And like, I don't know, maybe, I don't know how much that actually helped me in the long run, but definitely it kind of got me like to like familiarize myself with different shapes. And, in that sense, I'm definitely a lot like Connor, where I'm very good at learning things visually.
Yeah, I need visuals. I learning sentences and stuff doesn't do anything for me.
No. But like another huge thing for me was probably the fact that like my mom had like this like kind of this unspoken rule where if I spoke to her in English, I would usually get ignored. And that sounds really cruel, especially when like a 4-year-old is trying to like talk to their mom about something. And like, but I quickly picked up on it because like I was like 4 or 5 years old and I'd like be like, hey mom, can I do, blah, blah. She just straight up ignored me. I'm like, all right, she's in a pissed off mood. But then the more times you experience it, I'm like, oh, I have to ask her in Japanese. And because the moment I asked her in Japanese, she's like, yes, son.
That's a genius way to make your kids.
My mum was exactly the same actually. And I'm like, now she's like, you're gonna appreciate this when you're older. Thank you. You're getting this now, mum. I appreciate it now that I'm older.
Mom,
okay?
I also appreciate it. Thank you.
Because like if she didn't do that, then I wouldn't have forced myself to learn Thai or to use Thai in a practical setting, which is very hard when you're not living in the country that you're using it
Exactly. Like everybody around me spoke English, right? Because I was living in Australia. And like I had a few like childhood friends who spoke Japanese, but because all of my childhood friends were also halfies like me, sometimes we just spoke in English to one another. So like I needed a way, I guess my mom was like, all right, I need to find like a consistent way for my son to keep speaking the language, just keep improving. And like, it really helped as well because my mom was like exceedingly good at Japanese and like kanji and stuff like that especially. So like whenever I had like a question or like I learned a new word, I always went to my mom and I tried to force myself to use that new word in a sentence. And she would either say like, oh, that's not how you use that word. This is how you use it.
Dumb little shit. Let me tell you how to use this word.
Like she could immediately know when I was trying to like, where it was like, oh yeah, you just learned that word, didn't you? Because she'd be like, okay, that's not quite how you use it. This is how you use it. And then I'd use it again. And she'd be like, okay, perfect. And that's just how I learned from practicality, right?
Do you know one big reason I really want to learn Japanese?
Why?
Is one specific series I want to experience after having learned Japanese. And that's the Monogatari series.
Oh, yeah.
I really, really want to experience the Monogatari series after learning Japanese. Because, like, I love the Monogatari series now. But I feel like I'm getting, like, maybe half the enjoyment I could be getting and, like, all the appreciation I could be getting.
There's this video I've been trying to write for the longest time called You'll Never Understand Nishio Ishin, where, because, as you said, the Monogatari series and everything Nishio Ishin writes is fucking phenomenal. Like, he's an amazing author. A lot of it translates pretty well into English, right? But the thing that makes Nishio Ishin so amazing is the subtleties and the way that he plays around with the Japanese language. And that shit is fucking impossible to translate. And I wanted to make that video because I fucking love Nishio Ishin and the Monogatari series, like, more than anybody. But it's like, how do I explain to my English-speaking audience about how you'll never understand it if you're an English speaker? Like, that is so hard to do.
You need to have like a basic understanding of kanji, right? To understand.
Not just kanji. It's
everything.
He does wordplay in a way that I've never seen any Japanese author do, and I think that's the whole reason why so many people love him. It's because like it's like, wow, I didn't know that you could like he makes Japanese people's Japanese look dumb. That's the only way to describe it. Like a Japanese person will read that and be like, "Wow, it's like I don't know this language."
Because like, have you ever seen the Monogatari series?
Yeah. I was learning kanji the other day, and I came across the Monogatari kanji.
Oh yeah,
because like for is it like hanase or go? Which kanji is it? The one where it's like to speak or to tell a tale is like a
go
go is like one of the meanings is to tell a tale.
It's to tell a tale, yeah.
Right, and so it's like a.
And Monogatari just means like thing tale.
Yeah, thing tale. That's what and I was like, I saw it and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Because like that's the thing, right, with the Monogatari series, is that even the titles are a play on words.
Right.
Because bakemono and monogatari is two different words.
Right.
And he just fucking mashes those two words together to just turn it into one thing.
Oh, okay.
And like that's like the brilliant subtlety of Nishio Ishin. I don't want to say the whole thing because I want to save it for a video, but
okay. So I was going to ask, how is it reading the light novel compared to watching the anime? Because that's something I've always been curious about, how well the anime has been able to translate his writing into a visual format.
I think with like that's the one thing I love about Shaft, right? Is that they do hold this like really weird appreciation for Nishio Ishin's writing, and that's why like, you know, Araragi's like monologues are way longer than any anime monologue should be, right? Like there is so much. That's why it's so
I do remember being
heavy.
like, what the fuck? Like, can we just end?
Like like a standard Monogatari episode is like 95% dialogue.
Yeah.
But it needs to be because everything that Nishio Ishin writes is so important to the story because it is really convoluted and it does add a lot of character and like. And you know, like, if you've seen the Monogatari episodes, you know how like every now and then there are just like these flashing images of text? Yeah, that's all text ripped straight out of the novels.
Yeah, I was really confused that would happen.
Yeah.
I was confused a lot during every series of the Monogatari.
Yeah. It is confusing.
I'm very surprised how big Monogatari got because it like, I remember when I first watched it and I'm like, this breaks basically every rule of like filmmaking convention that I know.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, show, don't tell. And Monogatari's like, how about we tell everything and show basically nothing? And you're just going to enjoy this 20-minute long dialogue.
Yeah.
And you're going to fucking, and it turns out amazing. And I'm like, why does this work? I have never seen something work so eloquently as the Monogatari series. And what surprised me is that it just became like, for the otaku culture back then, it kind of became like a cultural phenomenon.
It did, especially in Japan, because it was just unlike anything. And I mean, you know, Katanagatari in a sense as well.
I was gonna say, like, if I was a betting man, I would have put my money on Katanagatari being way bigger than Monogatari.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird that in the West it was like the other way around. And like people still don't really watch, I think, Katanagatari because of, maybe it's like, I don't know where you can watch it other than illegally.
Yeah.
I have no idea how
you have to buy like a $400 Blu-ray, I think.
Such a shame because it's an absolute banger of a show.
It is fucking
very,
great.
very
so
good.
Fucking
great.
And it's got nothing to do with the Monogatari series, just so you know.
But it's a good thing, honestly.
But like recently, there was an OVA adaptation of the first novel that Nishio Ishin ever wrote. I forgot what it was called. It's Kubikiri Cycle. That's what it's called. And there was like a 4-episode OVA of it that came out, and I was like, okay, it's Nishio Ishin. It's essentially the series that inspired the Monogatari series. So I'm like, this has to be big. Like, you know, of course, every Monogatari fan's gonna watch it. No one fucking watched that OVA, and I was really sad because it is screaming Monogatari vibes.
It's weird because I liked the Monogatari series. I've watched, I don't know which part I got up to. I watched a lot of it. I mean,
there's like 8, 9
there's
seasons
so
right now.
fucking many, bro. And I'm like a monkey when I watch anime. I'm like, I don't want to have to like think about like order and shit and like what I'm doing. Just put something on, right? Like, I'm like, and sometimes with like I don't know what happened in between the series sometimes. And because it's so confusing, there was so many times where I would start a season of one of that franchise, I don't know which fucking one, and I was like, am I on the right one or am I just confused because it's this series? Like
that is like easily the most like that is the number one question I get past probably the most.
What's the order?
What order should I watch the Monogatari episode?
It's not even that complicated.
Okay, but even though if you're watching it in the right order, it's such a confusing show that normally you can get halfway into the first episode of like season 2, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, is this season 2? I really like don't know what's going on. Like, but then I guess I didn't have any idea what was going on the whole time. So
That's the thing, right? Is that the Monogatari series, like one season is already confusing enough as it is, like in an enclosed story.
Yeah.
And when you look at it on the grand scale of things, it's even more confusing because basically Nishio pulled a Quentin Tarantino Pulp Fiction style, where everything is out of order, but it's in the same universe, right?
Man.
But I mean, I don't think it matters that much, honestly. As long as you just get like just fucking Google the release order, and then you can't really go wrong.
It's stressful though, man. I've somehow fucked it up many times. Like when I watched the Spoke Rohan Kishbe OVAs, for some reason, Araki, when he wrote them, gave them episode numbers in the thing.
Right.
So when you're watching the OVAs, they don't do them in order, but Araki never did them in order anyway, if I remember correctly.
Right.
So you'll turn on episode 1, it'll be like episode 6, and I'm like, what do you mean?
Araki, please stop.
And then I'm like, and then you're like, spacebar, right? Fucking Google, right? Which episode is episode 1? And then you see, episode 1 is episode 6, episode 2 is episode 9, episode 3 is like episode 4, and then you're like, why? Why would you do this?
He pulled like a George Lucas Star Wars, right?
It's like
episode 4 is the first one.
But
you
it's
have
not
to
even that,
understand.
because at least it goes episode 1, like 3, 4, 5, 6, and then it goes 1, 2. It's not even that. It's just like 4, 9, 2, 7. And it's like, why?
No, it's like not just Haruhi Suzumiya. Like, did you watch Haruhi Suzumiya when it was airing?
Yeah.
So Haruhi Suzumiya had like this broadcast order, and it was for absolutely no reason. It was just broadcasted in this random order, right? And people were like, I remember when it was airing, people were like, "Oh, this is like a genius move," because it's kind of like you're piecing together the puzzle each episode. And now that it's like all aired now, like I'm pretty fucking sure that they aired it out the order, because the fucking last episode chronologically was just the most anticlimactic episode of the entire series. So they're like, oh, the best episode is episode 6.
Mix it up.
Just mix up the order. And people are going to call that genius move.
So it wasn't genius. Tanikawa Nagara was just on crack.
Wait, was this the original Japanese broadcast?
Yeah.
They aired it out of order.
Yeah.
Why?
So they
because Tanikawa Nagara was on crack.
I didn't know that. I only watched it years after, and I think we mentioned this before, but I watched the movie first by accident.
Yeah.
What a dumb mistake.
Yeah, this guy, I think you mentioned it in episode 0, so most people haven't seen it.
Yeah.
This person watched the disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya first, which is like, how do you do that?
I was still less confused watching that movie than I was watching most of the Monogatari series. No, so if you don't know, they made a movie, right, of like the thing that like tied the whole Haruhi Suzumiya thing up, right?
The disappearance of Suzumiya Haruhi, which is the 4th
light
novel
novel.
in the light novel.
I don't fucking know, right? All I was is like, I just got into anime. I wanted to watch the best rated anime movie. No one told me,
and it still is the best movie.
No one told me that I needed backstory, you know. And I went into it, and I watched it all, and I was like, wow.
What did you think? Did you think it was a good movie?
I thought it was shit because I didn't know what the fuck was happening. How can I think it's a good movie when I don't know anything? I remember being really annoyed with the like.
Connor, I bet Connor just watched this right after school days and just like 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. What the fuck is going on? What am I
These
the crazy
anime
one
watchers
here?
are on crack.
I think the school days was what broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
But it was definitely the Haruhi Suzumiya movie watching thing that definitely like made me think like reviews.
So have you gone back to like watch the movie since then? Or?
No, I haven't.
You haven't?
But you've seen the TV series now, right?
I watched the first season of the TV series. I got like 2 episodes into the second TV series where they were repeating everything.
Yeah, Endless 8.
And I was just like, no.
Okay.
I'm not doing this.
I would say that Haruhi still is very much worth watching in this day and age because of Disappearance. Disappearance is still it's probably my favorite anime franchise film of all time.
I agree.
And up there as one of my favorite anime films of all time.
Yeah.
And this guy apparently fucking hates it, so...
I think the whole series is kind of mediocre. I don't know.
Wow.
Really?
The first season was just fine, right? I was watching it and I was like, okay, I know this is a terrible comparison, but I was just like, man, this just feels like Toradora, but like worse. I don't know why. Like,
What the fuck are you talking about? There's zero romance in there.
I know, but
how?
because the whole setting reminded me so much of like Toradora in the way that it was set
What,
up.
that it was set in a school?
Yeah,
Like every anime?
I know this is like complete stupid opinion on my part, and I recognize this is a garbage opinion, but the whole time I was just like, I guess because it was just I was very bored a lot of the time watching How to Season. The only thing that made me want to watch it was the fact that Crispin Freeman voiced Kyon.
No, that's the best part of it.
Yeah, he was amazing. And he was a treat watching him.
Yeah, what you said is like saying, oh yeah, Anohana was kind of like another because they have ghosts in it or whatever.
That's a fair comparison, Garnt. I mean, I don't know, because like, okay, what show?
And they both start with A-N.
What show can you compare Haruhi Suzumiya to? If you had to, the closest comparison.
Here's the thing, like Haruhi Suzumiya inspired a lot of like.
I came after that huge way. I became an anime fan after that huge thing had its impact, right? So I think I came into it with like zero attachment to it in any sense.
Yeah, because I think the thing with Haruhi that I find really interesting is the fact that it's one of those anime that is like really weirdly tied to the period that it came out in, much like Lucky Star, I feel. Because like
I think that's why I don't give a shit about either.
Right, because like the thing is like I fucking love both Lucky Star, especially Lucky Star. Like I think it was fucking amazing. But like the problem is that the references in Lucky Star and like the whole fact that it really reflected the otaku culture of the mid 2000s is what made that show really funny in the mid 2000s. But as much as I love Lucky Star, I can't really recommend it to people today.
No.
Because the scene has just completely changed. Right?
Yeah.
But does that mean you can recommend Haruhi Suzumiya today?
Yes.
I can.
Really?
Yeah.
Because
I think I ruined it for myself.
Yeah,
I think so.
You basically just watched the climax. You watched the climax before like watching any of the build-up.
Yeah.
So now you just kind of ruined it.
That's why I kind of don't feel bad for being like, I think it's not that good, because I'm like, I know I ruined it for myself, and it might have been.
The only
good.
way to like top that experience is if you committed to reading all of the light novel.
I'll be dead for a light novel.
I'm
never reading a light novel.
I did that, and like the final volume of Haruhi was like pretty fucking good. So you just have to sit down and read 9 volumes.
I have no interest in reading a light novel ever.
Because I remember like a lot of the elements in Haruhi have been done in other places now. Because like there's a lot of like self-referential humor in Haruhi, and I remember when that was like an innovative thing. Like I remember when every fucking light novel wasn't trying to parody every other light novel. And now it's just gotten so fucking lazy with its self-referential humor.
Well, again, like that's the whole thing where it comes to like the time period,
Damn,
right?
you guys sound like anime boomers. we had it better back then. You should have sold because like
in 06 when Haruhi and Lucky Star came out, like as you said, like the whole like self-referential thing, and I think the whole meta aspect of anime was just so new. Like I remember
it was such
it
postmodernism. It was so postmodern at the time.
No, because like I remember like at the end of every Lucky Star episode, while the credits were rolling, there was no ending song for Lucky Star. What it was these scenes of all of the Lucky Star characters in a karaoke booth, but you were outside of the karaoke booth, so you could only hear them. But the conversations that they were having in the karaoke booth weren't characters having a conversation with characters. It was voice actresses having a conversation with voice actresses.
Yeah.
And people are like, of course, they're voiced by voice actresses. These aren't just characters on a screen, they're real people. And that meta was like, that was fucking cool, because no other anime did that. No. You're laughing.
He is laughing.
You don't understand.
Sit down, you're gonna sit down, and you're gonna respect this culture. You're gonna respect this corner.
I just don't care.
It was cool back in the day.
Because back in the day,
meta anime, like I still think meta anime peaked with Monogatari. Like in terms of like light novel like shows, adaptations, it kind of like peaked with Monogatari. And there's been other good light novel shows as well that has been meta. But I'd say, Haruhi really was the first time I noticed it. It was Haruhi and Lucky Star. And then Monogatari was the one that came afterwards. And then it kind of like nothing outdid it. And now you see a lot of lazy fucking attempts at meta humor and meta jokes. Like there was one anime I saw recently, which was like such an eye-rolling moment, is the MILF Isekai that aired last year. Okay.
Everyone's favorite.
Yeah. Okay, because it was, everyone thought, it kind of marketed itself as like a parody of the isekai genre, right? Because it's like, it's the isekai genre, but there's a mom this time. It's
different now.
It's different because there's a mom this time. And I remember there was one joke. Okay, they were in a hot springs, right? And there's this one tsundere that's in the hot springs, and then she stands up. and she's naked in front of the main character, right?
Yeah.
And then the main character literally says, this is the scene where you're about to hit me, right? And the Tsundere goes, but how about if I don't hit you? I bet you weren't expecting that, were you? And the main character goes, you're right. I wasn't expecting that. And the Tsundere just goes off crying. And that was the joke.
Wow.
That was the joke.
I remember we had this exact same conversation, the Isekai tier list video. You were like fucking like fuming. I'm like, this is not how you write a meta joke. You basically explained the meta before you told the meta.
First of all, I want all my anime scenes acted out by Garnt like that.
Yeah.
Right. Second of all, I just like... Whereas you tend to watch the trash isekai, I could give less of a fuck about the isekai that's coming
I'm right
out,
there with you.
It's so like... It just iterates on itself and then changes one thing. It's like I wouldn't be surprised if there's another slime one, except he's like a green slime next, right? And it's just like that's gonna be the next big thing.
That's just season 2.
Yeah, it's just a green, and it's just like I just struggle to give a fuck about any of the isekai that come out. Like I wanted to watch the mum one just for the memes, but I couldn't even muster up to like type it in.
But the thing is, it wasn't even that good for the memes. Like it was. You saw the title, you're like, haha, I can make a meme out of this, and then I did.
Yeah.
And then I watched 2 episodes, and I'm like, nah, I'm done.
Because I want to watch these shows so I can talk about them, but then I realized like by now maybe I don't even know that 6 months after that show's aired, that meme is long dead, and no one's going to mention it.
Not
in
even.
6 months,
It's
right?
like by the time the next season comes around in 3 months' time, no one's fucking talking
and then
about
maybe it'll be like a factoid one day. Like, you watch some mum isekai? Yeah. Oh, okay.
It's
you
like-
know what I mean? Like, you don't need to watch it for any reason.
Right.
Because for me, watching trash isekai or just trash anime in general, because apparently that's my brand or whatever,
It is.
it's just the reason I do it is because it's just the easy turn your brain off show of the season, right?
Yeah.
You know, like I have to be in a certain mood to watch something like Monogatari. You know what I mean? Like I can't just be like, I can't just like casually sit down having like my lunch or something and like I'm gonna like
Monogatari is like the antithesis of I'm just gonna put something on.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
You don't put Monogatari on.
Whereas with the trash isekai, like I just sit down for lunch and I just put it on, you know, and I just don't have to think. I watch it every week, and then I just and those are the shows I end up watching because they're like the easiest watch because I know what I'm getting into. I'm not being challenged. You know, I'm just like, okay, this character's gonna do that, whatever.
How much of a brain dead show can we make this season?
Go on.
No, which is why I can watch them because they are brain dead.
Yeah.
I don't have to think. Because you know sometimes where you watch like a good show, right? And sometimes you just really want to be in that right mood to watch something heavy or something good. But with the trash shows, I never have to be in a certain mood to watch it. You know what I mean? Which is why I found that I've watched more trash shows because like sometimes I don't know I get anxiety sometimes when if I know
It's a good show.
If it's a good show, but I'm not in the mood. Do you know what I mean?
No, dude, I totally had this, right? What was the show? Keep Your Hands Off.
Eizouken.
Right. Like, that was one of those shows where I'm like, I can't just watch this.
Yeah,
like,
You have to commit to it.
It seemed like such a passionate thing where I was like, I can't just half-ass this. So I watched one episode and I liked what I saw.
Yeah.
But because of that, I just never watched episode 2 because I had to be in that mood to watch it, and I never was.
Yeah.
It's those are the types of shows that are like really hard to like stop and then get back into.
Yeah.
And it sucks because I know that was a good show. I know it was, but I didn't care enough to like find that time to be like, I want to keep watching this. And I feel bad because like everyone was like, this is the best show of the season. And I'm just sitting there like watching like the 100th documentary on Netflix, you know, like, because
I have no time.
I don't know. I've had that problem a lot more with anime recently.
I feel you though.
I think this is the reason. This is the fucking reason I still haven't watched Full Metal Alchemist, okay?
Yeah.
Because you know it's good. And
I know it's good. And I like, because here's the thing. I can go years without watching or reading a manga of a series that I know I'm going to love. But I want to be in the right mood. And it might take years. It might take a fucking decade. Okay, like last year, I finally read 20th Century Boys.
Okay.
And it went from like, I know I was going to read this since I basically started getting into manga to, this is, like I thought, one of my favorite mangas of all time. Yeah. And it's fucking incredible.
It's so
good. I had to wait like so many years to experience it because I just wanted to be in that perfect zone to read it. And I'm so glad I did, because there are some shows. Did you have some shows that you think if you rewatch it, you won't enjoy it as much? Because you're not in the same headspace.
Like 90%, I think.
Yeah,
I think so.
Because I feel like that's why I can never get behind watching anime weekly. Because to me,
I can.
I can't.
I can't
do it
because like
anymore.
I'm always in a different headspace sometimes when I'm watching a show.
There's some shows that like transcend that, and like they're so hype.
Such as
Attack on Titan. Watching that weekly was like hype as fuck. Every single week, no matter what. That one day it came out, I was hyped as shit for that show.
because I binged that whole series.
Right, like it was such a good episode by episode that like even though it sucked to have to wait a week. It was like so good because that one day in the week you got like a treat, and it didn't matter how bad your mood was or where your headspace was at. For 25 minutes, you could shut your brain off and just have a fucking time. Like it was great.
Man, I used to be able to do that so easily when I was in like high school and uni, but like,
and as well joining in like the discourse online, you know, like talking about it.
I feel like that's a different side that I never got growing up with anime, which is the social aspect. Because for me, it was just I watch a show and I'm like, that was an amazing show, and I have no one to talk to about.
Same.
It's the social aspect has quickly become one of my favorite parts of like watching anime, and it's why like I caught up to Demon Slayer on episode 19, right? Like, because I wanted to get involved with the social discourse, because the memes are great. I love memes.
No, the memes are great. And like, it's made it so if a show has like a bad ending or something, I still enjoy it because
the shitstorm
it's just the shitstorm that follows it.
I love that shit.
I remember when Darling in the Franxx ended, and then and there was this shift at like episode 18 or 20. I can't remember the exact episode, and then everyone lost their shit, and like it's not a good ending, but I had a blast watching it. You know what I mean?
I just realized something. I remember that, you know, when Big Ed was a thing. I know, bear with me. This is gonna make sense. This is gonna make sense. Big Ed from 90 Day Fiancé was a thing, right? Like it was, you know, great memes, fantastic. I went to start watching 90 Day Fiancé because of that.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's just like not the same. I was watching it and I was like, oh, it's because I need the YouTube comments for every clip. Because it's like one thing to have a clip is it's funny, but when there's like just the perfect YouTube thread roasting the shit out of it, it's so funny.
Oh yeah.
And like, and also when someone's an asshole on a TV show, you want to be like, everyone else thinks this guy's an asshole, right? Let me go and check the comments real quick.
Yeah.
Because do you get this now where you watch some YouTube videos or clips from shows or YouTube video where they do something in the clip and that's the moment where you open up the comments, you're like, I hope everyone's talking. I hope everyone's talking about this. And that's what I love about watching Anime Weekly is that you get that kind of like, everyone's going to be talking about that thing that just happened on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be fun. I love joining in on that. But then like you said, go on. Go ahead.
Do you ever get personally offended when you go on a YouTube video and then the comments are disabled? Like, even if it's something you never wanted to comment on, or you never if it's just most of it is like anime trailers or anime openings. Sometimes I see the comments are disabled. I'm like, I don't know why, but I feel offended.
I'm just like, you fucking pussies.
Yeah, I turn like American for like 5 seconds. I'm like, free speech is dead. Where's my Second Amendment? I don't know. Yeah, but like going back to what you said earlier with the if you rewatch the show not in the right headspace, like, I just for some reason I was like, I'm pretty sure if I rewatched Darker Than Black, I wouldn't think it's that good of a show. But I remember really liking that show.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to leave that memory.
There's a lot of shows like that.
Like
a lot of shows like that of that time. Like Ergo Proxy for me is one of those.
If I rewatched Ergo Proxy, I don't think I'd like it.
I don't think I'd like it as much. But when I watched it, I was in that like perfect like angsty like big brain boy mode where I was just like, yep.
There's a lot of shows that I'm just leaving in that bubble where I'm happy to talk about these shows, but I never want to rewatch them.
No. Yeah, because like for me, the one big show for me is Kado no Kyokai.
Yeah.
I watched it when I was like in a really dark headspace.
I watched this one with the blood sword.
No. That's Beyond the Boundary. That's a different one.
Oh, okay. I thought we were talking about Beyond the Boundary. What are we talking about?
He said Beyond the Boundary. It's Kado no Kyokai.
Yeah.
It's Kyokai no Kanata is Beyond the Boundary.
Oh yeah, that's it. Oh,
that's it. I was like, what the fuck's the Japanese title of that? yeah. That's the one with the pink-haired girl in the glasses with the sword.
It's the one with the assassin who has like the death eyes or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was in a really dark headspace when I watched that, and
I've become
no, but like it was one of those series that I don't want to be that guy.
Oh god!
But it was like kind of life changing for me, like because.
Okay, now we need to know. Please explain. How would that?
Please elaborate.
No, because like I was like I don't want to get into too much in the detail, but I was like in a headspace that I was like kind of like the lowest I've ever been in my life, and then I watched this series and it connected with me on a level that nothing else could at the time. And it kind of like really changed my perception of the world and everything like that. And because of it, it's like one of my favorite anime of all time. But because I'm not in the same headspace that I am now that I was back then, I'm so fucking terrified of rewatching it. Because if I rewatch it and I just don't get that same connection, that I'm like, I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose what that series gave to me at that time of my life. And that's like the one series that I really hold like really close to me. And another series is actually Evangelion, because Evangelion I think is one show that is just infinitely rewatchable, right? Because every time that I've watched Evangelion, I've got a different experience out of it.
I 100% agree with
I
that.
watched it first time when it came out on Netflix. First time ever watching it.
How'd you find it?
It was good. I mean, I think because it was the mega hype show that it was, I think you go in expecting too much.
Yeah.
I mean, I was happy with what I got. It was just very confusing.
That's under Hideaki for you.
But it was great, and I liked how he built the world as a very, very terrifying one. And I feel like it's a lot of anime struggle to do that.
Yeah.
And like a truly terrifying world.
Do you have like that one anime that, as Garnt said, is like life changing for you?
Yeah. I mean, we spoke about it last episode, which fucked up the recording, by the way. But Bokurano is definitely one of those shows that like I think definitely changed. Like, because it was, again, I think it was a similar thing where I was at a point where I think I was really confused with what I wanted in my life.
Yeah.
And it really helped like ground me a lot and really understand a lot of emotions that I was perhaps feeling.
Can we re-talk about Bokurano? Because I want the audience to know about Bokurano.
Yeah. Not enough people have seen Bokurano, unfortunately.
It's one of those shows where it's not the best show, but it's a very important one that I think people should watch.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to describe that
It's very
eloquently.
disturbing, but not for like the conventional reason for it being disturbing. Right?
So what Bokurano is about is there's this group of kids.
This is going to sound awesome, by the way.
Yeah. No, because it sounds like an Evangelion ripoff.
It really does.
Because there's these group of kids, and then I think they're on their school trip or something. It's been a while since I've seen it.
They're on a school trip.
Yeah, and then they find this. All I remember is they find this cave with a talking head or something like that.
No, so there's a guy in a cave, and he's like a middle-aged man working on like a PC in a cave. It's really weird setup.
Yeah.
And he basically asked them, do you want to play a game?
Would you like to play a game?
Which, anyone asking you that ever with a bunch of kids is an immediate no. And then I think they all get on a scale or something. They all take turns. He measures them, and then, they whatever happens. And then suddenly they go outside, or it happens later on in that evening. Because we get to know these characters a little bit. There's like, how many kids is there? 12?
It's like 12, 13.
Yeah.
Something like that, around that many kids. And then they get teleported into this huge mech, and there's this scary floating head that's like talking to them. And one of the children has to pilot the mech. And we're going to go into spoilers a little bit. But it's episode 1. So I'm going to spoil the premise a little bit to you. But so one of the kids pilots the mech, and they're fighting another mech, and it's to save the world that they're told before this floating head character. Very intimidating character. So they win the battle. Hooray, they all win. They all celebrate, and they go outside. They stand on the mech. And then one of the kids just drops dead and falls off the mech. Then they find out that each time this mech comes back and they're summoned, one of the kids has to pilot the mech. And when they do, they're going to die immediately after.
Yeah.
But it's to save the world.
Yeah. And what the real beauty of this show isn't really the mech battles or the mech fights. It's more of the fact that these kids who have to pilot the mech to save the world, it's basically kind of like a monster of the week kind of show, right? Where every week a new monster comes along, and another kid from that group has to pilot the mech. But it's about the backstory of each of the kids and just having to deal with the fact that they're gonna die.
Yeah,
they're just gonna die.
And in like really realistic ways as well. Like these characters are very believable.
It makes me like uncomfortable, even like thinking back to like the emotions it brought out in me. Like I get like very like, you know what I mean? It's a really, really brutally honest look into like the human condition and life, and especially how it's, a lot of these kids from a lot of different backgrounds. Some of them have it easier. I remember there's one kid who's the stereotypical piece of shit. His dad's spoiled,
of
right?
course.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But there's some of the kids, who I think there's one kid who's like 16 or whatever, and he's looking after his two siblings.
Yeah.
And it's brutal because he's the one who's raising his two sisters, I think.
Yeah.
And it's horrible seeing him have to like come to terms with that he's not going to be able to look after his sister. It's
Yeah,
really brutal.
It's something that just disturbs you on like a level that you can't really describe.
It's so raw. It's so realistic.
Yeah.
No filters whatsoever.
And like it's something that really was like not many people have watched. It's something that was really glossed
It's uncomfortable.
over.
It's really uncomfortable to have to like sit down and sit through.
I admit I definitely like did not watch it when it was first came out. Like I definitely gave it some time.
It's definitely not like, yo, did you watch that last episode? Like
hype, but like because I think the problem with Bokurano and the reason why so many people didn't watch it when it came out is because the way that they marketed it was not that good, not that accurate. A lot of people are like, oh, it's a mecha. Must just be an Evangelion ripoff.
There's no world where it's like the #1 anime because it's just too uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But it also came out in the time period because I think it was like the early to mid 2000s.
It was,
where there was just so many Evangelion ripoffs,
Right.
like they were of like varying quality as well. There's another show that I fucking love as well, which is Rasafon, and that's
so good.
That's just an Evangelion ripoff.
I have no idea what that is.
It's an Evangelion ripoff, but it's still really good.
It's really good. It's like it totally rips off, but it goes about it in a totally different way from Evangelion.
Yeah.
And Bokurano also sits in this category of just shows that people have really looked over because the premise alone sounds like an Evangelion ripoff.
It does.
But the way they go about it, it's just absolutely harrowing. Just seeing these stories of these kids who have to come to terms with their own mortality because it's a fucking tragedy. You know what I mean? It's different from Evangelion. Evangelion to me is just Anno's raw cry for help. You know what I mean? That's like you can't watch like. Everyone's analyzed the last 2 episodes of Evangelion, and I think it's going back to that meme about the blue curtain, right? I'm fucking sure that Anno had no fucking clue what he was doing.
Everyone's like, oh, okay, the way that these lines move and the way that it's like very sketchy is like really reflective on Shinji's like mental state. Meanwhile, Anno's just like, we didn't have much of a budget. just want to put that out there, like
because but that's what I love about Evangelion because everyone comes out of Evangelion with something different because his message was so raw and he put so much of himself into the series that it's impossible not to like come out with it feeling something.
I love
right?
how like with Evangelion especially that I don't know if it's just Anno is just like trolling like crazy, but there were moments where like the Evangelion fan base and like the like super hardcore analysts of Evangelion are like just so committed to this idea of like everything in Evangelion, every piece of imagery, everything has to have a meaning that I remember when Anno finally came out in an interview about like the meaning behind Evangelion and he just straight up said there is no meaning. It's just a show I wanted to make. And people are like, but what about like the fact that every time the angels die, it turns into a cross? And he's like, I just thought that looked cool. And all the analysts were like, no, he's lying. There has to be a meaning behind it. I'm like, if the creator says there's no meaning, there's no meaning, bro.
What's Occam's razor where the simplest solution
is the best solution?
Is normally the actual solution.
Yeah.
And it's like, Evangelion definitely made me uncomfortable and feel bad for a lot of the characters. Like Bokurano just went way deeper.
I'd say like Evangelion isn't from like a story structure perspective.
Similar.
It's not even remotely similar. Bokurano like I feel like has more of a structure around its plots where Evangelion just kind of ended on this, you know, as I said, raw cry for help from Anno. But Bokurano was definitely here's a group of kids dealing with something that's very, very uncomfortable, and you're gonna feel fucking awful watching this show.
Like it's not even the worst part that like kids are gonna die. It's like sometimes it's their fucking backstories are fucking horrific. And I'm not gonna say it because I don't want to spoil it because it's a really good one. But there was one episode in particular, and it like after I finished it, it was one of those things where I had to like just sit there for like 5 minutes and be like, fuck, fuck. Like I don't know if you can remember all the episodes. There was one or two plots that, like, one of the stories where I was just like, oh, Jesus Christ. It was right at the end as the episode. And you think that you expected everything, right?
That's what I love, though, about these, like, human drama shows is that, like, sometimes they may just be, like, the simplest thing of, like, just a story between two people or one person. But if it's done really fucking well, it can be some of the most powerful fucking storytelling ever.
I think it's more relatable than at most things, and it's really uncomfortable to think that you could be in a situation where you have to come to terms with your death at such a
Well,
young
that's
age.
why. Well, that's why. Like, you know, I'll say this till the end of time, but like that's the whole reason why my favorite manga artist of all time is Inio Asano. Right?
I was gonna say like the one manga series that I'm still waiting on to be in the right headspace to read is Oyasumi Punpun.
Yeah, I need to read
Yeah.
that as well.
Yeah,
I've
because
downloaded
like
it.
I've read that, I've reread that like 2 or 3 times, like all the way through, and every time I'm just like, oh no, like that's the only way. It's just oh no,
Yeah.
because it's just so like, and it's not just Punpun as well. Like Inio Asano is just so good at writing these characters that are just so believable.
Yeah.
And it's really disturbing when you see these characters, these very believable characters, run into these very believable and horrifying situations, and you're just like, if this isn't like based off like a real person's life, then that's just scary in and of itself, because this guy can just think of stuff like this.
Yeah.
And present it in a way that is just so terrifying.
It's like when people are like, man, Danganronpa is really like despairful. And I'm like, please shut the fuck up. Like it's got pink blood for fuck's sake. Like real despair is like uncomfortable. Danganronpa is not fucking uncomfortable. It pisses me. Sorry, I know that.
But my waifu died.
Yeah,
You probably pissed off so many Danganronpa fans with that now.
When you see these characters like they're about to die in Danganronpa, it's like, who the fuck gives a shit?
Yeah.
Like,
Because I feel like there are certain levels, because like everything that the series that we've talked about is just like it hits you. I don't want to say it, but like it hits different.
It do be hitting different.
Okay, to a reason why you should watch this. If you're like me, I'm a person who avoids these kind of shows like The Plague, because I cry at like anything. I cry at like Deku when he says anything in My Hero Academia. Remember Deku screams even like a little bit? I'm like, I'm in tears. I don't know why. It's like a human reaction. I'll cry at anything. So I normally just watch shows that I can turn my brain off to. Because I don't want to have to get into like, oh, fuck's sake.
I'm really scared now.
things.
I really just like want, now that you've said that, I really want you to read like an Inio Asano.
No, I will. No, I know it's going to ruin me. And that's
it's-
why like I stay away from it. But like, please watch Bokurano. You will not regret it.
No, it's if you're in the right headspace for that kind of show, because like you know when you have like social barriers up and you see something that's sad or something, it's like you feel sad, you cry, whatever. But there are some shows that you're like you don't know whether you want to cry or
just lie down
and just like disappear.
Yeah. Because there's plenty of romance shows that like have really left me kind of like very sad, but it's a different feeling. Like
It's a different feeling.
Golden Week made me very sad a lot of the time. Is that what it's called? Golden Week, right?
Golden Time.
Golden Time,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, Golden Time. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm an ape.
Yeah.
I like Golden Time a lot, and it made me very sad. Very upset a lot of the time. But like, it's just like it's not. I don't leave that feeling like, oh man, there's no hope anymore. But
I felt the same way when I watched Sakura as well, because like there are some, because like that seems like all like, oh yeah, cute, kids in a room, just romance stuff. But some of the backstories of some of these characters, I'm just like, fuck, man. That's the only way I can describe it. Just like, fuck, man. Like that's just sad, dude. But yeah, as you said, it's not like, it's sadness and despair are just two totally different emotions, right?
Because it's kind of like those kinds of shows where I use the it changed my life kind of, which is really corny when you say it, but it's just one of those shows where you finish and you just sit down and you just like stare at a blank wall and you're like, oh, whoa,
it's the big sigh, right?
It's
the big sigh.
It's that big sigh of just.
You can't even like listen to the ending song. You're like, I can't listen to this. I need to be in silence right now. Like I remember being very sad and having a similar feeling watching BoJack Horseman, and it taps in the same areas. I know you're laughing because I did. By the way, last time we recorded this, I said an analogy where.
The most amazing analogy.
Bokurano, right? To sum it up to you, if you're familiar with BoJack Horseman, Bokurano is, imagine if BoJack Horseman had 12 kids and they were all equally as fucked up as BoJack Horseman. And then they all had to get sacrificed, and you slowly got to hear the backstory of these fucked up BoJack Horseman children. It's so fucked up, and it's like different because in BoJack it's his own fault, right? And it's all that and whatever. It's you're very sad, okay? Whatever. It's just it hits differently, like you said, and I hate it.
This episode of Trash Taste is sponsored by ExpressVPN.
Wow, we've changed shirts, Sherry. How amazing. I'm here to tell you today about ExpressVPN. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are thinking, Connor, I use incognito mode. The FBI can't see me. And you'd be wrong in thinking that.
Wow, call me out like this, Connor.
I thought incognito mode saved me. Wrong. It doesn't save you. Only ExpressVPN can save you in your browsing history, as a lot of these websites can still see your browsing history, or your internet service provider can see what websites you're visiting because of your IP address. And honestly, that's why I never go online without ExpressVPN.
Also, the good thing about ExpressVPN is that you can bypass geo restrictions. So, say for example, I want to go onto Netflix and watch, I don't know, Harry Potter, but it's not available on Japanese Netflix. So what do? I tap on ExpressVPN, I reroute it to the US Netflix, and boom, there it is, all of Harry Potter. Because sometimes I don't want to watch anime, I want to watch some goddamn Harry Potter.
Good thing is, if it doesn't matter if you're on Verizon or Comcast or whatever ISP you're on, ExpressVPN will hide all the information and all the traffic that routes through your router from them. So even the ISPs can't see your browsing history. And the thing is, it runs so smoothly that most of the time you don't even realize that you have ExpressVPN on.
And the best thing is ExpressVPN is available on all devices. Of course, the computer, mobile phones, tablets, you name it. So you can protect your online internet safety today by using the #1 rated VPN service out there by going to expressvpn.com/trashtaste to get 3 months free off of your subscription.
That's expressvpn.com/trashtaste. Yes, I'm reading this from my phone just in case I get the spelling wrong.
expressvpn.com/trashtaste to learn more. Links in the description below.
Back to the video.
Because I think one other series that I watched that just hit like really deep is this for like 4-episode OVA based on this novel called No Longer Human, which is like a classic Japanese novel. I think.
Osamu.
Yeah. That is like probably one of the most harrowing things that I've watched.
Never heard about that. What is it about?
It's written by this guy called Dazai Osamu, who is considered like one of the 3 greats in traditional Japanese literature. He was like a guy from
the big 3.
So
he was the big 3.
So what's the story about in this one?
It's like it's been a while since I watched it, but I'm not sure if it's his like autobiography or if it's like based on his life story. But it's just
based on his life story.
Okay, so it's just based on this life story about this guy who just keeps taking L's, man. Like imagine if you just take L's your entire life and you're just looking for that one win, but no, you just
keeps becoming
you just keep taking L's your entire life. And
damn, that sounds like the Joker. I'm joking.
No, but it's this guy who just gets more and more depressed as his life goes on because it is based on his life story. So like this character, it's someone who's like clinically depressed, right? And he's so depressed that he tries taking his life multiple times, right? With women that he's been with or just people that he finds, and then he just keeps living, which is actually true. Like the author tried committing suicide several times. And then he succeeded. He actually succeeded. So he
drowned himself.
Yeah. So that's like the headspace of the author who wrote this, and like it's the story.
Wait,
like I can't.
Wait. So he died?
Yeah. He finished after finishing this story.
After he finished, this was the last novel he wrote before he drowned himself.
Yeah. So it's just fucking. It's the most. Like
that's like one long suicide note then.
Yeah. Because it's just like a raw peek into the headspace of someone.
This is our most depressing episode. I'm sorry.
It's really good though. It's a really good piece of literature.
Yeah, because like it's just this. It's just based on his life story and just all the shitty things that happens to him, and then it ends with just you think he's found like this ray of hope, right? You think he's found his ray of hope, and then he just gets shit on once again. Like imagine if someone has stage 4 leukemia, and then you just find out he has AIDS as well, and then he gets kicked on, and then you just kick him while
it just keeps going,
and like how it ends is that he's like so like he doesn't even think that like if he commits suicide, that's not even the right way to end it. It's called No Longer Human because he feels like he's so low that he just doesn't. He's no longer human. Like he no longer is in this human world, and it is the most harrowing thing. I've used harrowing a lot because I don't know.
It's the only way to describe.
I don't know.
I mean, because you're essentially reading the fall, right? Like you're reading the.
Pretty much.
Damn, that sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
It's brutal is the only way to describe it.
I mean, I like those experiences, but they are, like you said earlier, you have to be in the right headspace. Because I feel like, I don't know, if you go into it like already like pretty fucked up, like you're not feeling too great, it's not going to do great for your mental health.
I think the one problem as well with No Longer Human, and the reason why probably not a lot of people like know about it, is that not just because of its like subject matter, but just the fact that anime fans today know Dazai Osamu for that one Bungo Stray Dogs character.
That's true, isn't it?
Yeah. But like, and people are like, oh, Dazai, yeah, he was my husbando in Bungo Stray Dogs, not knowing that the real Dazai was the most depressed fucking author in like probably all of Japanese literature. And he wrote some, not just No Longer Human, but he wrote some amazing pieces of literature. Just because, again, he based it so much on his real life and the fact that he was just fucking depressed as hell.
Because like I feel like you have to be in that headspace to write something that powerful and just that raw, that just hits and just cuts that deeply.
It's like an Edgar Allan Poe situation. Like you can't write dark poetry like that unless you had a fucked up life growing up. So
I feel spoiled, you know. I don't have anything to worry about.
Sorry to bring a downer of this episode. People watch less.
But bottom line is that, you know, regardless of the fact that we did like talk about a lot of like depressing pieces of literature and media, like just because it like puts you down at the end of the day, it doesn't mean it's something that people should skip over. I think that it's equally as important to experience those kinds of anime and literature.
I like to do that so that I'm comfortable with having those emotions prop up sometimes.
Right.
That I feel like I have at least some experience dealing with them. Maybe when it's someone else, it's a lot easier, but if you do get to that point where you are starting to feel like that, it's like, okay, I can kind of understand where this is coming from. Maybe I know better how to process it.
Yeah, like, question to you guys, going off this then, but it's a bit less depressing. Has there been any shows or any anime in your history that has like affected you in any way? Not just like in the negative aspect, obviously, or just rethinking life, but just like
Black Butler.
You definitely had to rethink life after that one.
Bro.
I think for me, like the one, as much as I hate to use the word change my life, for me was like, and this is going to sound cliche as fuck, but Clannad was one of those. It was. I know. I totally understand where that laughter comes from. I'm sure there was a handful of people who laughed at the same time, right? Because it's so cliche now to say that Clannad changed your life. But when I watched that, like all the way through, it like straight up, because that was
the story fucked me out.
That was the first time that I like, in not just in anime, but in any piece of media that I just fucking broke down crying. Because especially that second half of Clannad After Story, it was just the most brutal payoff to the longest build up, right? And just, I don't think I'll be able to, that's again, like going back like million topics, that's another show I don't think I'll be able to watch again. Just because, again, I'm not in that headspace. And it's just something, it's not just like the fact that it was just a sad anime, but I think it's just the fact that, again, you've been kind of following these characters' lives all the way through, whereas like most, you know, visual novels or like romance stories would end with the couple getting together. Clannad took that one step further and showed you, as the title says, the after story, right? Of like what happens. And I think just seeing that made these characters even more relatable to me. And that was the first time where I was like, you know what? Family is cool, man. Like, family's fucking dope. Like, before that, family was just like a thing.
Mr. Christian man.
It was like because before, like, you know, the concept of like family was just very much like everybody else, where it's like, yeah, of course, family's cool. Like, yeah, everyone wants a family. But like, Clannad was that one show that really dug into like just how important family is. And I think that, like, I mean, as weird as it is to say, after I watched Clannad, I became way closer to my family. And I think that's like a big aspect.
That's pretty wholesome.
It is wholesome. And that really changed my life, I feel.
I feel really bad now.
What?
Because you're talking about how Clannad changed your life. I couldn't fucking finish the first season.
Yeah, I know.
To be
that's
fair,
the problem, though, right?
I watched Clannad and After Story.
Yeah.
And I think the whole time when I was watching Clannad, I'm like, when's it going to get good?
When?
Don't fucking sing that Dango song one more time, bitch. I dare you to sing that song one more time.
Because like, I remember watching the first 8 episodes and I'm just like, man, this is trying really hard. This is trying really hard.
Fucking boring.
Yeah. But that's the problem, right? Is that like, the thing with the first season of Clannad, I never say to people, hey, you should watch the first season of Clannad. Because I know that on the grand scale of things, the first season's fucking
but
boring.
you can't appreciate the second season.
That's the problem. You can't jump into After Story without having experienced these characters.
Yeah.
And it is important because a lot of these characters do make a very significant impact in After Story.
But I guess, it's really hard, I guess, especially now. Like, maybe back then you could make someone watch 25 episodes of bullshit to get a good payoff. But now you can't do that. Like, I just don't think you can recommend it anymore.
Right, because like the story structure and the joke structures that pop in, it's just so overdone now that like it just seems like an aged version of everything that you can see today. But back when Clannad first came out in like 2009, I believe.
Yeah, it was about 2007, 2009.
I think I watched it after I watched Haruhi Suzumiya the first season. And I remember thinking like, this is just like shittier than everything. like the school dynamic was just garbage. And I remember being
Do you just watch every high school anime and just like, it's in high school.
Yeah.
It's the same
it
show.
must be good,
it's
right?
the same
no,
show.
I like to compare the high school animes and see what like dynamics they got going on and see what I'm enjoying.
Their uniform is different to the one before.
This one has a model in their school? Okay.
Like going off topic, like I remember the first time I watched Seraph the End. And I remember it was like a show with a post-apocalyptic show about like how vampires had taken over the world. And then for like 4 episodes in, there's just a fucking high school. And I'm like, why is there a high school? If there's one show that doesn't need a high school dynamic, it's fucking this show.
I'm like guilty because like I'm like the only guy I think who has read like all of that manga so far. Like it's still coming
I'm the
out.
complete opposite guilty. I never consumed anything about it, which is so weird because for the longest time, I don't know if you guys got these messages. So many people were asking me to make a video on Seraph.
It's got a really big female following.
Yeah. Have you noticed? I don't think there's been a single anituber that's made a video on it.
Because they're all dudes.
I mean, not even like the few females we have in the anitube community.
The first episode of Seraph the End was like one of like the best first episodes of like I remember for a while that we had. It was such a good first episode, and then
it was really good.
World ending, wars. And then, like you said, high school. And then it's like, it gets really good again when they leave high school.
Right.
They quickly,
it does.
They quickly abandon that. And I'd like to think that's the artist, the author being like, this is
like, shit, go back.
It got really good. And I'd say we're like about 2/3 through the manga, because it hasn't finished yet, but about 2/3 through the manga where it is right now, it gets amazing.
Yeah.
And then it goes like not so good.
Yeah, because did the manga deviate from the anime? Because I remember watching all of the anime, and it was one of those shows where I had a good time watching it.
If I remember correctly, the manga was really, really similar to the show.
Right.
And they build on a lot of the things that I thought were really interesting in the show, amazingly in the manga as it goes on.
Yeah.
But then it became really weird and world-ending plot kind of like trigger-y.
Right.
It's I don't really like the main like the final villain that they have as well. Like it's just a fine. It's fine.
It's one of those shows where I'm like, I had a good time watching it. I'm not gonna rewatch it. I'm probably not gonna remember most. Would
you recommend people to read it or watch it? Because I haven't done either.
If you, I would say, watch it, and if you like what you watched, then continue onwards.
Okay.
You'll probably enjoy it, I think.
Yeah.
Up to a certain point, and then you'll start to be like confused and it's good though. It's good. I like how they did a lot of things, and like it sounds like the most Trump sentence ever. I like how they did things. They did a lot of good things.
It means a lot to me.
It did things. I like the things they did.
I totally get it though, because I actually agree with you. Like it was good. I had a good time.
It's like the most 6 out of 10 ever. It's like it's very decent, and I have minimal complaints.
Yeah.
There's not much to it, and you're just kind of like, I'm happy with what happened, and I don't want any more.
It was before I had like 5 isekai to watch every season, and this just took the space of that. Where
this came right after the hype of season 1 of Attack on Titan.
Yeah, it did.
And I remember everyone was hype as fuck for this anime.
Yeah.
And then it kind of like fell off, even though I thought the anime was pretty fucking hype.
Yeah, it just didn't take off, and I don't know why.
That's the
it's
thing,
weird
right?
as well, because the anime had like an amazing like fight scene. It like an orchestrated like fight, like they were hunting down these vampires. Really cool episode. And for some reason that wasn't enough hype.
It's one of those shows that weirdly, like, I hear so
people
many
still
people
talk about it.
but I don't really see anything about. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Because I think people who read it are really, really into it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good. There's a lot to like.
I think the problem with it is that it just kind of lacked its own identity when it first aired. Because I remember when it first aired, I think like I made a joke that I was like, oh, it's like Attack on Blue Exorcist with gay vampires or something.
It very much is like an amalgamation of a lot of different aspects.
Right. Yeah.
And the main character is kind of annoying.
Yeah, that's true as well.
Well, that's never a good sign.
It's annoying because it's like I like all of this, but we're getting a lot of this one thing that I'm just kind of wish would just be a little less like potent, you know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shows like that though where I've read the manga after it and no one really spoke about it, and I was like, I don't really know why.
Like a certain Black Clover.
Black Clover. I didn't read.
Hey
Black Clover.
Hey man, Black Clover is good. I'm repping Black Clover.
I shouldn't have said that now. He's gonna go off for like 40 minutes about it.
My monkey brain's like taking over now. Black Clover.
For some reason, I always end up reading the manga that no one fucking talks about or gives a shit about, and I don't know why. I think because I don't know anything, I find it more interesting because no one talks about it.
I'm definitely in that phase right now.
Yeah,
where I'm just like, I just want to find the weirdest fucking like unknown manga and just like talk about it.
I know it's not unknown at all, but I read Terraformers just because no one speaks about it, and I remember liking what I saw of the anime, which is funny because the anime adaptation was
horrible.
Horrible.
But I remember enjoying the concept, so I went back and read all of it, and I had a fucking great time.
Yeah, Terraformers is awesome.
It's amazing. You should definitely read it if you get the chance. Super gory, terrifying cockroaches.
Yeah.
Great time.
Really good.
If you've seen the thumbnail that Connor has made about his cockroach story, that's a terraformer cockroach.
Let me give you like a 30-second pitch, right, on Terraformers. So there's an expedition to Mars, and there's these cockroaches that are like absolute Giga Chad cockroaches, like the most like gym bro cockroaches, and then they want to bring them back to Earth to see why they're like this. Who made these cockroaches like this? Because there must be some reason.
Why are they so Chad?
And then it turns out that these guys can fight, and then the humans get injected with bug DNA, insect DNA to become superhumans, but then they still keep getting destroyed by the Giga Chad cockroaches. And it's just a great war. It's a great time. Lots of politics, lots of Game of Thrones politics-esque things involved. It's fantastic.
Lots of deaths.
Yeah, it's great because you would think that a really straightforward plot where it's about action, big cockroach fight big bug boy.
Yeah.
But then it really quickly.
Bug boy.
Because
That's such a perfect way to describe big bug boy. Oh, you big bug boy.
Because you'll never feel as excited for learning one bug. Like, because I remember thinking when I was in like high school, the Mantis Shrimp, coolest bug in the world. Do you know what the Mantis Shrimp is?
Is that a bug?
Is that the one that like punches?
It can punch at like the speed of sound.
Oh yeah,
and it punches so hard that it can't be contained in aquariums.
I remember that chapter.
This thing is like tiny.
Yeah.
And then when they made like a human formed with a mantis shrimp, I was like, bro, I know what that is. And then he was OP. He was pretty strong.
Yeah.
But I got off topic. But because I remember you read like 80 chapters of this thing, thinking that it's just going to be like big man punch bug man, like, and like that's fine because you're down for it. Then it quickly turns into like, but wait, if Earth was trying to take over Mars and get these samples, there would be a lot of fucked up politics involved with which country is going to want what. And so it divulges into a lot of that. It's really fucking interesting.
Yeah, the world building's done really fucking well.
Super fucking good. I really recommend it. Sorry, that turned from a 30-second pitch into a whole discussion, but it's a great manga. And if you like something like Gantz, something like that, you'll probably feel right at home for you.
I think I've read it just after I read Gantz because I was looking for something
it's perfect for that kind of like,
I was in like that edgy teenager phase.
It is literally edgy. I was literally living my edgy teenager phase like 6 months ago. I read Gantz, I read Terraformers. Like, it was. I don't know why.
Sometimes the edgy teenager phase, like you never grow out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes I fucking love going back to my edgy teenager phase because I really want to reread Gantz as well. Gantz is fucking great. That's like that defined what I was into as like a late teen.
Yeah.
It's so good, Gantz.
It's like aliens, but there's sexy girls, gore.
Yeah.
Sign me up, baby.
When he starts just like, okay, there's a scene in Gantz, and like, I guess because you're used to the normal dynamics in anime, where they're like, oh, a hot girl turns up and he wants to have sex with her. But then he actually just starts fucking her.
Yeah, he just starts fucking her. I'm like, Who is this Chad? Like, I've never seen such a big Chad in anime before. What the fuck?
I was on the train reading this as well. There's a terrible manga to read on the train because every time I'd flick the panel, it would just be naked tits and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like,
And that sex scene in the manga is so long.
it's
so long.
It's so weird that it's like not even remotely like a realistic depiction of sex. It's so weird because then suddenly she's obsessed with him after it. It's so fucking dumb. But the one thing that's amazing about Garnt, and I would like to sell people on, is one, the monster drawings and the level of detail.
This is why you do not want to watch the anime at all.
Please don't watch it.
Because Garnt is like peak mid 2000 Gonzo CG.
Yeah.
Like it's like you think CG
It's
today
hilarious.
is bad. Watch Garnt and you just see how bad CG was back then.
Yeah. There's so many.
I just remember the absolutely just messed up CG of like even the opening, where it's just like, let's see how many times we can rotate this camera and just make everybody sick.
Hopefully we have it on screen right now so you can see.
It was a good song.
The opening was a fucking banger.
Oh, that song was so good.
Like, Rip Slime, man.
Rip Slime, but like
great.
every time I watched it, I was like, I'm about to throw up. Like it's so dizzying.
If you enjoyed the good parts of Darling in the Franxx, like the mystery and not knowing anything about the world and wondering like, oh my god, how does this all function?
Yeah.
If you like that aspect of world building, you'll love Gantz.
Yeah, I was really impressed by the world building in Gantz because not to spoil how it ends, but like the actual ending of Gantz itself was like very, very anticlimactic.
Questionable.
But the actual answers was like that kind of was like that was kind of like that, you know, that big brain like meme that was like oh my god, like it's fucking great. Like it's one of the few series that I've seen that has built up this huge mystery and has delivered on it, you know what I mean, and has delivered on an answer that like
I'd say
it's satisfying.
The actual ending is not great, but the answers for the main mysteries were very satisfying. So it doesn't end amazingly, but the explanation for all the stuff that was happening is very cool.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really interesting. But there's also some stuff in the manga that did not age well.
Well, like what?
I don't.
You don't want to say?
Everyone who's read it will know what I mean.
Yeah.
But there's a part where like a character does blackface and suddenly it like turns
oh my god, I completely forgot.
like there's so
I haven't read it in so long. I genuinely don't remember.
Because I read it
God.
like 6 months ago, and there's like a scene where one of the characters goes to shoot up a thing in public. He goes to do a public shooting.
That's that. Oh my god! Now that
it's
like
really
that's
bad.
that is the most yikes.
It is awful.
That's the most yikes moments I've ever thought.
Please don't cancel Okuhiroya, please. All right.
Because it's like it's a normal Japanese guy, and then he wears blackface, but then he just is drawn like an actual black guy.
Yeah.
And it's really, really uncomfortable
Right.
to read because you're like, I don't really know.
Yeah.
And then that was the moment where I went online to be like, has anyone else realized how fucked up and then immediately everyone was like, it's good, but
we kind of turn a blind eye on it.
It's the one thing that makes it really hard to recommend because it's a very interesting series that does a lot of cool things, but then it's really, really like that part is like you kind of wish that wasn't there because then you could recommend it to edgy people.
Yeah.
It's just too much.
I mean, it's just like a example of something that hasn't aged well. Because when I read that as a kid,
there's a lot of nuance that is lost in Japanese culture about that kind of stuff.
Definitely.
But it's still, even for Japanese standards, is pretty awful.
It was, yeah. Like when Gantz was like serializing, it was very like lopsided in terms of like, is this okay or is this not okay?
You know, if the Japanese audience is concerned with it being racist, then it's like I don't know. It was like it's definitely the one giant stain on like Gantz in general.
I think so. Other than the 3D CG.
That's a pretty damn bit. I mean, that's just the stain.
Yeah, that's just like the shit stain on the
And they had a live action movie, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the live action was not as horrible as a lot of people thought it was going to be. Because I watched the live action and I was like, you know what? It wasn't amazing. Like solid 5 out of 10.
Okay.
But there was definitely a lot of like questionable CG about it because of course Japanese live action.
Obviously.
Right. But the way that they actually like did the whole Gantz thing and the whole feel of it, the whole like despair of like, oh shit, this world, we don't know what the fuck is happening.
Yeah.
They did that really well in the live action.
What do you think is like the best live action anime movie? Because that's hard. Because
I want to say,
which one do you
I
have to
know
sift through?
which one it is.
I honestly,
which one it is for you?
Gintama.
Oh yeah,
I'm not familiar with Gintama.
The Gintama live action, I was I've never laughed that hard watching a live action. And like, not even like, I'm not talking about like Dragon Ball Evolution, like ironic laughing. Like, it's genuinely
funny.
It brings out the Gintama spirit so fucking well. And I don't know how the hell they did it, because you read a manga like Gintama, watch an anime like Gintama, and you're like, there's no way this can be live action.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
no fucking way. Like, you can't translate this comedy into live action. But they somehow did it.
The Mad Lads did it.
I'm like, the casting was perfect. The
I'll
costumes
take your
were
word
perfect.
for it, because I have no idea.
Even the action scenes, because the second half of it goes into like the first story arc of Gintama.
Yeah.
And concludes it. And I'm like, wow, this is actually like really good CG and really good choreography. And it's like very believable Gintama movie. Like, I would watch that again. That's how good it is.
I was pleasantly surprised with the JoJo Part 4 movie.
Really?
It was like...
I didn't like it.
Really?
It was like fine.
I didn't
I
like
thought some of the scenes they did pretty good.
I mean, that's the thing with live action anime movies, right? The bar is so low that just
Yeah, like,
simply-
is it good
simply being
compared to all
fine.
these other shit,
Being-
or is
being-
it just like
yeah.
genuinely
Being
good?
passable is like the best compliment
Yeah.
you can give an anime live action.
Because
Right,
I remember watching the Ghost in the Shell live action, and I remember how offensively average it was.
Yeah.
Like, it was like I couldn't form an opinion on it, because I'm just like, it's okay.
It's like the Ghost in the Shell one was really weird, because it's like, if you watched it as a Ghost in the Shell live action, it was like a 4 out of 10.
Yeah.
But if you just watched it as like, if you just thought like, okay, this is just a standalone like sci-fi.
complex.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up, Garnt.
Big brain references.
You know what? I watched Alita the Battle Angel was like really good. And you totally
Yeah.
forget it's a
Did
manga.
you think it was good?
I thought it was pretty
I
good.
thought it was kind of
I
shit.
I think that's one of the best like anime or manga movies we've had.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it
what
was.
is-
It was
the ending
what?
was just whack, man.
Yeah, but
Like,
I mean, everything up until the ending was
for me,
was really good.
Alita was very much like Ghost in the Shell. Whereas like as a
No, I put it higher than Ghost in the Shell.
It was
because
higher than
have you-
Ghost in the Shell.
Have you read Alita?
No, who the fuck has read?
I
it?
have.
yeah, Joey's
That's
read
why
it.
I watched the
Joey's
movie.
read everything though.
That's why I've watched the movie. If
I bet if I watched the manga, I'd like it.
Yeah, very much like
More.
Ghost in the Shell.
Watch
If-
the manga.
Well, sorry. I bet if I read the manga, I'd appreciate.
Yeah.
I'd like the manga more.
If you've,
Yeah.
if you've, it's like Ghost in the Shell, right? Like people who are fans of Ghost in the Shell before they watched live action were like, that was a shit adaptation of Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
Alita's the exact same.
I guess
it's
so.
good as a standalone movie, but as an adaptation of Alita, it was pretty weak.
But at least the Hollywood ones are better than the Japanese adaptation.
Yeah, I mean-
Did you watch
Yeah.
the Attack on Titan?
Yeah.
live action?
Oh my god!
What's with them being like Nazis? What's with that? What's
I got invited by Madman in Australia
no.
to
Okay.
go to the cinemas on the day, like the premiere
Oh
day.
no!
And they were like, you can bring a +1. So I brought my best friend, who's
Yeah.
like a huge anime fan, and we watched it. And we just kind of sat there as the credits were rolling, and I just looked over and I'm like, how was that? And my friend's like, I know you got me in for free, but I want my money back. That's what he said. He's like, I'm like, you know what? I kind of have to agree with you there, man. Like,
No, because I like my cousin, who I've been trying to get into anime for like ages, the biggest normie you can kind of think of, and then I was
Breaking
like,
Bad.
like I was like recommending Attack on Titan, because that's like one of the perfect gateway.
Yeah,
yeah,
It's
yeah,
Attack
of
on
course.
Titan, and then he fucking ends up watching the Attack on Titan live action, and he is like, yeah, that wasn't very good. I'm like,
Why?
God damn,
Why?
You were almost there. You were this close. And now whenever I recommend Attack on Titan, I'm like, no, just trust me. The anime is so much better. He's like, but like, is it the same story? But like, you don't get it.
you might
Just-
not know, but there's this character called Levi. He wasn't in the live action because they couldn't pronounce his name.
people-
You know that's the reason why they cut him out, right?
Oh, really?
The reason why Levi's not in the live action is because they were like, these are Japanese actors. I don't think they can pronounce the V sound. And I'm like, you do realize this was written by a Japanese
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
So it's-
The people like that are the reason why microwaves come with instructions. That's like you.
they need a hand to hold for everything.
Oh my god, you watched the fucking movie? Oh my god! Like,
How'd you fuck up this
how did you
badly?
fuck this up? Like, man. Yeah, I kind of just stay away from the movies, though. I stay
Yeah.
away from all anime movies.
I think the only one
know I
I've
shouldn't.
enjoyed is Edge of Tomorrow, which I didn't even.
That one was really good.
Tom
didn't-
Hanks? Oh, with
Tom Hanks. Tom Cruise.
fucking Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
I wish
Yeah,
Tom Hanks
If it was
in that.
Tom Cruise, Tom Hanks, I would have.
Yeah, I didn't realize, because I didn't even realize that was based on a manga.
Yeah, it's All You Need Is Kill.
Which is like the edgiest title ever.
Yeah.
All You Need Is Kill.
All You Need
Coming
Is
to
Kill.
you next
it's actually,
summer.
It's actually based off a novel that was
Yeah,
then
yeah,
later
yeah, I
adapted
heard
into
that.
a manga that was written by Obata Takeshi. who's
Ah.
the illustrator for Death Note.
Right.
Yeah, which was also a very good manga. So when I saw, because like I picked up the novel while I was in Japan, because I was just like, all you need is skill. Fuck yeah, dude, that sounds awesome. And I read it, and the novel was really good.
Yeah.
But then, like when they were promoting in the bookstore, they were like, Tom Cruise movie coming out soon. I was just like, oh no, oh don't do this.
Gonna be one of
please, Tom, don't do this. But of course, I had to go watch it because I'm like, all right, this is probably gonna be shit. Let's go watch it. I was like, all right, you know what?
It was good.
I'll give you this one, Hollywood.
It was good.
You did good. You did good.
It was one of the few films that I watched it, and I was like, oh, I got to go read the source material now because I want to. And it was quite different from the source material. It wasn't exactly the same, but that's how you adapt a live action movie, in my opinion. You got to change some things.
If there is something that is just, if there is a concept in a story that you know will never work in live action, don't put it in.
Yeah,
it's so simple, and yet there are so many fucking productions and directors who are like, no, we can do it. No, we can definitely. Assassination Classroom, giant yellow guy. Fucking man. CG will fix that.
That was a weird adaptation.
I don't know why, but I've slowly started to find myself like watching live action anime movies.
Why?
It's just
why would you do this to yourself?
Because it's just
you're gonna give me shit for watching trashy isekai.
It's just a guilty pleasure for me now. Even if it's because I watched the Erased live action as well, and even though I didn't like Erased.
That was on Netflix, right?
Yeah, but purely just because I was like, it's the perfect example of curiosity killed the cat, right? Because it's like I'm so curious to be like, how could they possibly adapt this? And then I go into it, and I'm like, amazing. I just wasted an hour and a half of my life.
That's just some anime adaptations you just know are going to be shit, right?
Yeah.
There's some you watch for the train wreck, but not all of them. Like, Erase you don't need to watch. The Full Metal Alchemist live action, I don't need to watch that to know it's going to be shit.
Yeah, that's the one thing I still haven't watched.
You know what I'm going to do?
The Death Note one is...
I'm just going to watch a live action movie now.
And you'll be like, guys, Full Metal Alchemist isn't that good.
What the fuck are you talking? It sucks. Full Metal Alchemist sucks. What were you guys on?
Please do that.
No, please don't. Please don't. You'll actually ruin the story for yourself. You'll get a speedrun story and it'll like... It's just awful. I mean, the only reason I watched the Death Note one is because, you know, I wanted to be, you know, able to help with the discussion on Twitter. And then, you know,
I mean, I got a great video out of it.
Right,
so.
but if you can't, exactly, right? You can clown on it. It's great because everyone's going to be waiting for it. But you can't clown on the Erased one because no one gives a fuck.
Well, that's why I didn't make a video on it.
Why watch it? Why waste an hour and a half? Why?
I mean, I've done that with more. I think there are more anime live actions that I haven't made a video on than ones that I have made a video on, just because no one needs to know this is shit. I just need to know this is shit. I don't need to share this because everybody already knows it's shit. Like, I didn't have to make a video on the Parasite live action because everybody knew it was going to be shit, but I needed to know that it was going to be shit. And sure enough, I found out that it was absolutely garbage.
You know what blows my mind? That sometimes they only make the anime to promote the garbage movie.
Yeah.
Like, was Parasite one of those situations? I know Kaiji, the gambler one.
Yeah.
That was definitely, that anime was just made to promote the movie.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and the movie was...
the movie was questionable.
I mean, I actually, I enjoyed the Kaiji movie in this, really campy kind of way. You know what I mean? It's kind of...
But in what world would you choose the movie over the anime?
Oh, no, absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not.
Right.
Because watching the Kaiji live action was kind of just watching some K-drama or J-drama.
So do you want to explain what Kaiji is quickly to the
audience? So it's a gambling it's a gambling story. So this guy racks up this massive debt. I forgot why he racked up this massive debt.
I can't remember why he did it.
For some reason.
Yeah. So basically he gets an offer from this mysterious company that can clear his debt that just says you need to go on this ship and you're going to play a bunch of games and if you win these games then we will clear your debt. Or you can go into even greater debt. Yeah. And the basic premise is just Kaiji on this ship, or just after the ship arc's over, it's just him going through a bunch of different gambling games and just trying to clear his debts.
And he's not OP, so that's the best part.
Yeah.
Is that you genuinely he loses a lot.
It's very realistic,
as much as he wins, and it's great because you genuinely don't know if he's going to lose or win every game.
It's a very quotable show.
It's really a lot of people didn't watch it. I think mainly because for some reason it was only published in 480p.
Really?
Do you remember?
Yeah,
It was only published in 480p. Yeah,
and it came out in 2007 as well.
and it was only 480p. And I remember like when I was watching it, I'm like, where's the HD?
What's this
But,
SD
like,
bullshit?
so just know that when you watch it, it's going to be like that. But it's definitely worth your time.
I thought the reason why people didn't watch Kaiji was because of the art style.
I think it's that, and I think there's a ton of reasons why people didn't.
Because like it's got like 0 female characters in it. I think.
Yeah.
I can't remember a single.
It's
female
got a
character.
lot of ugly bastards in it. I know that. That is the one show that has
it's
more
like-
ugly bastards than hentai.
That's Kaiji, right? Imagine an NTR plot, but instead of sex, it's just watching a guy.
gambling.
It's just gambling. It's just NTR gambling. That's just Kaiji, okay? But it's fucking great.
It's so good. It's like I going from watching Kaiji to I don't know how you pronounce it, Kakeguru.
Kakeguru, yeah.
Kakeguru.
It was like, how can I watch this shit when this gambling is so fake? Like,
Oh, yeah,
it's
yeah,
so
yeah.
it's all just bullshit gambling to serve the plot.
It's just
Whereas
a-
in Kaiji, it felt like real gambling.
Yeah, Kakeguru was just like they were like, okay, how do we make these hot girls orgasm?
Yeah.
Gambling. Let's just throw it
But
in.
like the main character always wins unless it doesn't really matter. Then she doesn't win, and it's like, haha, you didn't expect that. And it's like, yeah, but it didn't matter. Like,
yeah, exactly.
it's like there was a one dumb moment. There's the part I dropped the series is when the girl with the gun playing Russian roulette, and it's like it's obvious no one is going to die in this situation. Don't pretend like someone is going to die because I'm not stupid.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't watch it further because I'm like, this is just dumb.
Whereas if that was in Kaiji, like
It's like someone's gonna die.
Someone's gonna die.
Yeah, which is great because, but then it wasn't sure. Maybe both of them could die. We don't know.
Yeah.
That's the best part about Kaiji is that like you just genuinely don't know.
no, the best
No.
part of Kaiji is the narrator's voice.
that's
Oh
it.
yeah.
No.
Why is there just that narrator in like every fucking show of that type?
Because
you know
it's
what I mean?
so epic. I love it.
Because I only see it in anime. You know, you're not watching this Netflix show and then this narrator comes out. You know what I mean?
Dude, what's the follow-up series, the spin-off one with the middle management, whatever, Tonegawa?
Oh yeah,
I never
Tonegawa,
watched that
yeah.
one. Was it any good?
It's quite funny. It's if you go in expecting Kaiji, you're going to be very disappointed.
Yeah.
If you want Kaiji, then it's better if you read like I don't know the author's name, but like read some of his other works.
Akagi is really good.
Akagi, I really like Akagi is basically Mahjong Kaiji.
Yeah.
And like, here's the thing. I had no fucking interest in Mahjong.
Yeah.
I was watching the show. I had no fucking I had no fucking clue of the rules
Yeah.
of Mahjong either.
Yeah,
But you get drawn in,
yeah,
right?
But after I finished Akagi, I was like, man, maybe I should learn
Yeah,
how to play Mahjong.
I had
fun.
I
Yeah,
had the
yeah.
exact same thing. I don't know which show it was. It was little girls competing in mahjong tournaments. I don't know which. I think it was might have just been called mahjong.
No,
Like,
maybe
okay.
I don't know. Yeah,
I don't know what it was, but I remember I was trying my goddamn best to learn mahjong, and I was like, what
There are a lot of shows
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Though. I mean, like, you know, March Comes In Like a Lion made me really invested in shogi. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck shogi is. But then after I watched March Comes In Like a Lion,
I want to learn shogi so
I
badly.
kind of want to learn shogi. I mean, shogi is just Japanese chess, right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I'm good
yeah.
at chess, so I'm going to be good at that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to play chess. And
What?
yet I was like,
What?
shogi looks
What?
fun.
How do you know how to play chess, Joey?
Because I just did it.
Wow.
We didn't even own like a chessboard in my house.
You know how to play chess, right?
Yeah, I know the basics.
That's good.
I fucking suck at it. Probably. I haven't played in years.
We need a chess anime, but obviously because
No, because I actually really want a chess anime. Because
chess would be so good in an anime.
it would be so fucking hype in anime.
I'm surprised there hasn't been one yet.
It's because like how big is chess in Japan? It's not very big.
I mean, I guess if you're going to play chess, you might
No,
as
it's still
well
big.
play
There's,
shogi,
there's
right?
plenty of because I think a lot of the grandmasters are from Japan.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true actually.
Oh.
But like, yeah, I feel like chess because I remember I got like sucked into this YouTube hole of just like watching a lot of chess videos.
Yeah,
I had
I
like
remember
no
you
interest in
telling
chess.
me. I remember you telling
Yeah,
me.
I had no interest in chess, and I'm like, man, this is actually like really interesting because the history and just the entire premise of chess is
Yeah.
like really really interesting. The fact that you like after
There's a lot of history
Yeah,
behind
like
chess.
after like. It's basically like this massive tournament arc, you know what I mean? And there's like reading about some of the most historical chess games was like I have no interest in chess, but this was
yeah.
fucking hype. And I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
thinking, man, this would work so well in an anime or manga setting. So I went out to try and find a single chess anime or manga,
Yeah.
and there just wasn't one. And
Right.
I was really really disappointed.
It's surprising, honestly, because like I think the whole stereotype with chess in anime is like, you know, the fucking like transfer student who also happens to be like the daughter of like the giant company is like, let me just do a little bit of chess on the sideline.
Basically, the way chess is used in anime is to make someone look smart.
Yeah.
Like there's no reason for Lelouch to play chess.
I was about to say.
Because he's a tactical genius.
Yeah, he's a tactical genius.
Do you ever lead with the king, Connor?
No, you never leave it. For example,
Do you want to tell people about your hidden like fucking
that you're like a chess champion?
So when I was 13 or 12, or I just started high school after I left primary school. I was playing professional chess.
Yeah.
And like, how I ended up in playing professional chess was weird to begin with because I never like played it much. I just liked video games a lot.
Yeah.
And so it was the only video game that my dad would play with me. Chess. So it wasn't right. So because if I wanted
chess.
Yeah, no, it was just normal chess, right?
Yeah,
but like I remember I was playing at like year 3. How old are you in year 3 in the UK? Like 8, 9?
8, 9.
And the chess club was only for like the last year, which was like all the 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
And I remember they wouldn't let me play with them, but they let me play with them, and this is so anime, right? Because outside of the chess club, I beat their best player in a game of chess.
Right.
And then they were like, no, you got to let this guy play with us. He's good.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
good.
yeah.
And so I beat them all, and then nothing happened for like 3 years until it was my time to join the chess club, and I was allowed to join the chess club.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I joined the chess club, and our school had lost like every single chess tournament ever, right? Because it was like a local, I didn't even know we had this. There was like a local circuit, right? Between all the schools played each other, like football and every other sport, right?
Yeah.
There's one for chess. And I remember that we started playing in that. And also the guy who was number 2 in our chess team, because I was number 1, we were both like equal. Which is also very anime, right? Like,
he had the rival character and everything.
His power level was on par with mine.
My whole chess experience is genuinely like an anime. Because I'm going to keep talking, and there's more stuff to it.
Yeah.
Stuff. And then we just started like winning every single game, like against every other school. Like it wasn't even close. I remember like these kids were bad. And I remember every time they were like, they would be like shocked at how quickly we would beat these kids. It's very different in professional chess to playing at someone who doesn't. In professional chess, it's a long thing, and I'll get more into it later. But and these were games I could win in 20 minutes. Because I could see how they fucked up, and I would take it. And to me, it just made sense, right? I never practice. I was just good at games, and it made sense. And then one time there was a school, and these guys had been like number 1 for like 10 years in a row or something, because they had a guy who was someone's parent, and he's obsessed with chess. He's very, very good at chess, and we beat his team. And they were like shocked. They were like, "Nani? You beat like the Prodigy team."
This is like a sports anime.
No,
right?
this
is a fucking sports anime.
You could base a chess manga off of your life, honestly.
No, right? Because I remember thinking like it was weird because this guy was making like a whole commotion. Bear in mind, I was like 12, right? I didn't know what the fuck was going on. And this guy was making like a whole commotion. He was like shocked, and I was sitting there, and he was like, "Walk me through everything you did." And I was like, I don't know. I didn't write it down because most you're supposed to write it down in professional chess, and he was writing it down, and I thought that was weird. I was like, why would you write down your moves? You just did them. Why you're not going to go back? And he was like, which move? Why did you move here? How did you know how to do that and stuff? And I was like, I don't know. I just like did it. And then he spoke to my mom and was like, you should come to this thing. And it's weird. It's like 200 kids come to a place. By the way, chess for like kids is a really weird kind of thing. It's just adults pushing a bunch of like Cambridge kids to do it. So I went to a location, and there was like 200-300 kids all just playing chess. And then you would get like an opponent, and if you won or lost, you would then play someone who was like won. And the more you kept winning, the more you would go up. And then eventually people who won all their games would go on to play for like the area. Like a big
it's like
area.
a legit tournament arc.
Legit.
Is, right?
And okay, here's the best tournament arc. I was killing all my games, right? And I'd won like 4. So you play 7. And I remember I won 4 in a row. They were really easy. My friend as well, he'd lost like 2, and then he was already out. And I felt bad. I was like,
I'll avenge you.
I'll go on for you.
I'll see you in the finals.
and like it's weird because I never had any, like a lot of these kids as well, they would be studying it in between games, but I would just whip out like Pokemon and start playing it. And then I'd be like, oh, it's my time to go. I'd save and then play. But I remember, so like my 5th game was against the guy I beat in my school, like the Prodigy team or whatever. And I had to play him again, and we drew. And it was really like anticlimactic. And I was like, fuck, I beat him last time. I wanted to beat him again. Anyway, I got on the team. And I was okay. I was struggling because this is where it was getting really serious. Like, I was decent enough where I could win like 70% of my games, but it was still starting to get like really long because chess games never went more than an hour. And then they start becoming like 2 hours. And I'm 13, and I'm like, this is kind of taking them.
I just want to play fucking Pokemon.
But I started winning, and then I got contact, and they're like, hey, do you want to play for your country? And I was like, sure, I guess I'll play for my country. Like, why not? Yeah, I'm doing good enough. So I turn up. I go to the first tournament. You won't believe, because I was number 10, so there's 10 seats, right?
Yeah.
One is the best, 10's the worst. So I was the worst on the country.
Yeah.
Worst of the country for the team, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guess who was number 1? I think I've told you guys this story.
Yeah.
It was like the main bully at my school. I shit you
You
not.
can't make this shit up, man.
Right?
You can't make
I
this shit
shit
up.
you not. It was like the main bully at my school who, like, no one knew he did this.
This
And
is the point in the manga where like the flashback begins.
Yeah.
It's like he used to bully me.
he was the main rival all along, right?
He literally was the kid that everyone was scared of. And I remember thinking, like, man, he was really good at Halo Wars too. That was weird, right?
Yeah.
Like, and then suddenly, like, he's really fucking good at chess. Like, he was
Yeah.
amazing, and he was winning a lot against like really good players. Bear in mind, when it got to this point, it was pretty much me, him, and 8 kids who are going to go to Cambridge.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? The
Yeah.
environment was really weird as well. And I remember that was when I really started to not enjoy chess anymore. Is that when I remember when I lost a game, I got fucking bollocked by the coaches. They were furious at me because they would take your sheet, right? Because this is when you had to start writing it down.
Yeah.
They would take your sheet and they would rinse you for your moves
Yeah.
in front of you. And then they would watch you the whole game. So there's like always an area above where they can watch you.
Yeah. Oh
like in fucking anime. Right? And I remember if you made a move that was under 5 minutes, that was a mistake, you got fucking rinsed for it. Because they were like, you didn't think long enough.
Wow.
You've got to go through the options. Because it gets to the point where you're like, you know that they're thinking just as many moves ahead as you are.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
starting to get really difficult.
Yeah.
Because you're like, fuck, like I haven't studied enough at this point. Because
Yeah.
I never studied chess.
Yeah.
But this is where I was getting to the point where I was against people who were naturally pretty good, but also were studying all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's just a really bad environment. I really didn't like it. It was just
Yeah.
like whereas I would finish my games and I'd play Pokemon, they would want to talk about, so why did you move Rook to, F2? Why did you do that? It was really impressive when he moved his... And I was like, I don't. We are playing chess for 8 hours today. I do not want to talk about chess in between my games, right? And it was just like a really it was a really weird environment. And I think if I came into chess later in my life, I would have had a more healthy enjoyment of chess.
Yeah.
I still like to play it occasionally, but
Yeah.
I think I'm just like scarred from the anime experience that I had.
Yeah, because that's what I find so fascinating about chess is just talking to you and hearing about your chess story and reading up and watching Magnus Carlsen's, I think that's his name. Is it
Magnus Carlsen,
his
one of the
story
best.
and how you were just born and you just got the game. They're like there are people who just studied the game, and then there are just people who just like are geniuses at it and they don't know why.
Yeah.
It's fucking
I was
fascinating.
just born to do
That
it.
was-
Right?
It's fucking fascinating to me.
It was weird because you kind of like, no matter how good you are at something and like how much raw talent you have at something, when you start competing at such a high level, you start to realize that like it doesn't matter as much, but also you meet people who also like, there might be like 10 people in that country who also have that same raw talent, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, fuck.
Yeah.
Because then it starts to come to like who can put them.
Yeah.
Because I didn't care about chess.
Yeah.
I never cared about chess. I was just good at it and I just played it.
That's such a thing that a protagonist would say.
Right.
I never cared about chess.
Whereas the protagonist would have got to my point, lost, and then been like, I'm going to dedicate my life to chess. I was like, Pokemon Ranger just came out. So like, I'm going to start spinning around.
Yeah, you took the Hikaru go route,
Yeah.
right? Where you're just like, I lost, end of the manga.
And it was just kind of like, it gets to that point when your life where you're like, I don't need this anymore.
Yeah.
And I remember my parents were so sad because I mean, I don't know why my parents were so invested in it. I think that it was a mixture of proud and also they love bragging about it. Why wouldn't you, dude? That's so fun.
Of course.
Your series got cancelled from poor sales.
But then I had a spin-off, right? So what happened is about when I was like 16 or 17, I had like a rejuvenation of my enjoyment.
Right.
Do you remember a website called MLG Game Battles? Do you remember that?
I remember that.
So it was where you could
yeah.
like compete against COD, but they also had Yahoo Chess. And I remember I would compete against like fully grown men and beat them on Yahoo Chess, and they would get so pissed off. And then I joined the local pub, and that was a weird experience.
Yeah.
So I joined the local pub chess team, and I remember, bear in mind, they were all like 80 to 40-year-old men,
Yeah,
always. And I remember one time I was playing against a guy who looked like Ross Kemp, like the biggest, like a skinhead, terrifying dude. Like he's like this over the table.
Like a brick shithouse.
Yeah,
like
literally.
every bouncer you see
Literally.
at a nightclub.
And
or
I'm
something
like,
that.
I'm like 15, 16, like this with my Coke, and he had like a pint and like was smoking, and I'm there with my Coke, like occasionally checking my phone. I don't know if that pissed him off, but in between moves, I wouldn't look at what he was doing. I would just check my phone, and I would like, because I'm normally thinking in my moves, so I don't really pay much attention when they're doing it. And I remember when I beat him, and he looked really fucking angry, and I was so scared. Like, I was like, is he gonna hit me? Because he was like this on the table, like this. He was like, I can't believe you won.
I can't believe you've done this, man.
I can't believe you've done this.
People didn't like losing to a 15-year-old. That happened a lot.
I mean, I can understand.
I get it. I get it.
But,
Like-
you know.
I'm just really committed to making this a manga now. Like, just
Honestly.
Yeah, please, because like from a narrative perspective, there's so many interesting ways you could tackle just chess as a concept.
I want to
right?
take like that concept of like, you know, your friend being beaten in the preliminary, and then just cut to the scene where you're like in the finals, and your friend is like that one guy who narrates all your moves. He's
He's the speedwagon.
He's like, he just did an en passé. He's like, what's an en passé? En passé is when, and then he just goes on with the explanation.
You know what the one move? Okay, this is gonna sound so nerdy. There's one move in chess that I always wanted to use. And it was I don't know the name of it, but it was the one where like if someone moves their like pawn 2 and then like in front of, if you move your pawn 2, then they move it 2 as well, that you can then take it.
That's an en passé.
That's it, right? I
Yeah.
always wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Dude. Using a rook is castling is OP. You always castle. That's all I remember. Like,
So why did he castle there? It's like, I'll tell you why.
yeah, I don't know, because I remember they tried to teach us. They were like, why don't you use the Indian Prince opening of 1970 something? And I was like, yeah, because they would, when I would do an opening move, I always did the same opening move because I just liked it. It was like nice and symmetrical. I liked it. And they would always say, why did you use this person, like I said, like the Indian Prince move of 1764. And I was like, what the fuck is that? I just like how the bishop goes whoop. You know,
Bishop goes.
It just feels nice, you know. It just feels.
it's
nice.
hard to explain it when you're a kid because you're just thinking 4 moves ahead, and you're like, if this goes here and this goes here and this goes here, then you go that. You know what I mean? It's just how you see it. It was weird. It's like any sport, I imagine, where kids are really good at it and the adults are really pushy and kind of like almost borderline. Some of the kids, I'd say, they had like a predatory relationship with it. Because a lot of them, again, like I said, they were very rich parents whose kids went to very good private schools and they were destined to go to Cambridge or Oxford no matter what. And they would, you know exactly what I mean, what kind of kids I'm talking about. Because the moment you spoke to them, you're like, we're from a different world. It's really odd.
Chess is like their entire world to them, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's all
It
they've ever
was
known.
like something that was forced upon them because it was, you know, it's something that looks good on the resume when you apply
Yeah,
for
yeah,
Cambridge,
exactly.
you know, like. And,
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, it got me a few good jobs, or it helped a lot. I remember some job interviews where they liked playing chess and they would bring it up, and it was like, "Oh, that's cute. You're good." You know, and like it's like, I don't know.
That's cute.
Yeah, it was like, I
No,
play.
that's a really, you know, I think that's like a really interesting story that you have.
Yeah, bottom line
I
is
don't
we
just
need to
talk about it
turn
much.
this into an anime.
Yeah.
most
I would be,
definitely.
if someone was like, I want to like make a chess anime, I would
Yeah.
absolutely fund
Yeah.
that.
Just like talk to Connor. He has
Yeah.
a very interesting story. If
anyone would like 3 stories
because like it's the perfect chance to like teach people about how to play chess as well.
Yeah.
I think it's a really good game, and it's one of my favorite things to like sit down and talk to someone about. Just talk and then play
Yeah.
chess.
Yeah.
I think it's a really good way to, I don't know, just have fun.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's also fun beating people who think they're good at chess. It's really fun.
the power trip.
Because
Yeah.
I'll meet people who have just been like studying chess. I mean, it's getting really big on Twitch right now.
Yeah, exactly,
And you'll
right.
meet people who are like, you know, they're like really getting into it. And
Yeah.
then you just like stomp them. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, well, okay, here's the thing, right? Here's the worst part about chess professionally is that you normally know like 5 or 6 moves in if you've lost or not. But you
Right.
have to play it for another 2.5 hours. And all it is, right?
that sounds crappy.
That's the difference between casual chess and professional chess, is that casually you always think you can win if you outsmart them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Professional chess, it's just like, how do I drag this out enough so that maybe they'll make a mistake?
Yeah.
And oh god, yeah, it was
Sounds
awful.
horrible.
It was awful. I hated it because it just got to the point where it's like, what's the fucking point in this? It's like being a troll online. It's just like I'm literally just being awkward.
Yeah,
to
you're
this
just
guy.
prolonging the inevitable, right?
Yeah. And it's like I fucked up 30 minutes in, and now I got to put up with this for 2.5 hours.
It's like loading a game of League, and then 5 minutes in, like your own
Someone's
5.
inting.
Yeah.
It's-
Someone's inting. The jungle is just AFK.
You
and you're like,
accidentally-
and you're like, can I just FF now?
Yeah.
Like, can we just FF? Like, this is like a diamond game right now. Like, no one's going to make a mistake.
Oh, yeah, because I remember this. You know, I never got praised for winning games. They would always be like, good job. You know when they would praise me? When I made it fucking hell for the other person. Like, I remember when this poor girl, I dragged it out and she made a mistake to a stalemate. Barrett, this game went on for like 3 hours and 20 minutes or something ridiculous. It was something fucking long. And I remember I'd lost like an hour in, 100%.
Yeah.
And I just made it awkward. I wasn't playing to win anymore. I was playing to make it awkward for her.
Yeah.
And so I did things that you wouldn't normally do to try and win. You would just do it to cock block everything
just
that
to
she
annoy
did.
them, right? Yeah.
And I remember she was getting so stressed. And I remember being like, this is kind of fun, but also like, I hate this so much. And then
torture, isn't
when
it?
I got back, it was like coming back into the football locker room. They were like, nice one, let's hit the shower, son. You really made it hell for that 13-year-old girl. Congratulations, Connor. Like, I was just like, man, that didn't feel good. Like, I just lost. I got a stalemate. Like, I worked 3 hours for a stalemate. Like, are you kidding me?
Absolute cock tease.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
There's other worse ones though, where like I remember those people who would constantly like, because you can ask for a draw. You'd be like, do you want a draw? And it would fuck my psychology up because I was like, does this mean I'm winning? Like, does he think he's losing? And one time I remember I regret it to this day. I should have took the draw and I lost in the end. Fuck. He gave me an out.
That's the learning experience, man. That's the character development we need.
Yeah,
you know?
no, exactly.
I got a little trophy. If you won like 3 games professionally, you got a thing called a Wendy. I don't know what it was.
Why is it called a
Wendy?
Wendy?
I don't know. It just says Wendy on
It's
the
just a
plaque.
Wendy's burger.
Yeah, it's like a plaque that just says a Wendy. And I'm sure there's some chess people who know what this is, but I have no idea.
Please, like, educate
I was
us.
so confused. I was like, why does it not say my name? I won these games.
I'm not Wendy, I'm Connor.
But I think also if you Google my name, I think my chess records come up in the
Really?
profession.
Oh, wow.
If you dig deep enough, people are going to find them now.
Yeah, yeah.
And you'll see exactly which like county and country I was playing for.
Don't stalk him then.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else you guys want to talk
I
about?
don't
Sorry,
think
that was a huge detour.
I don't think we
I'm
can
sorry.
top that chess story, man. Like, that was intense.
That was an intense. That we just watched an entire anime.
It's a story I love telling, but it's one of those things where it's like I can't bring it up if they're not going to be like invested in it because it's such a long story.
Yeah.
But it's a really interesting story. I remember the first time you told me, I was like, we need to talk about this publicly. You've never talked, because like
I bring it up
Imagine
occasionally.
just being like, yeah, I was a chess pro by accident. I was like, what do you mean you were a
It's the
chess
most
pro by
amazing
accident?
conversation starter, right? Like,
Yeah.
From a young age, though, I was just always really, really good at video games as well.
Yeah.
Like it always just clicked. Like I'd always just got them. And like to this day, I normally get video games super quickly.
yeah.
And
You just have that talent, man.
You're a tensei.
man, if
are a
if only it was English, eh? And I could learn how to spell. You know, if they gamed English, I'd have been fucking pro. I'd have been pro at English if they'd have made it like a spelling fucking simulator. But anyway,
Right, I think that's a good place to end it
it's,
then.
thank you guys for watching.
Yeah.
We love the memes on the subreddit. Keep it up.
Hey, shout out to the Patreons.
Yeah.
Yes.
As always, if you'd like your name on the screen right now, as you can see, or you'd just like to support the show, then make sure to go over to our Patreon because it helps us out a lot.
Yes, and we also have a subreddit, r/trash taste, and also our Twitter. Our Twitter.
Twitter.
Our Twitter. I think that's just Trash Taste Pod as well.
At Trash Taste Pod, yes.
At Trash Taste Pod.
So make sure to follow us on there. Keep giving us the memes. 'cause
Yeah,
the memes
we
are
love the
fucking
memes.
amazing.
We love the memes.
The
We
fucking
do.
Smash Bros meme.
That's good.
So-
That's good.
so
That was
funny.
You guys are very creative with your memes, and I
Yeah.
appreciate
I'm
them.
loving the memes.
If I don't comment on all of them, doesn't mean I don't appreciate
Yeah,
them.
we go through the subreddit.
We see
Yeah,
all
yeah,
of
yeah,
them. We
yeah.
see
So
all of them.
we see all of them
Yeah.
just for the
Yeah.
record.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, this was a diverse episode of diverse.
Okay,
topic.
another thing. So this episode wasn't scripted at all, and none of our episodes are scripted. But sometimes we come in with a
idea,
subject
like a
matter in
theme.
mind or a theme. But this one we were just like, what if we just sit down?
Let's just talk.
Let's just sit down and
just
start talking, and we're not going to worry about about what we're going to talk about. Well, we'll just talk about whatever. So if you enjoyed that, give us a comment, because this is I think our very first one that we just had
Nothing planned.
We had nothing planned. We could have just sat here in silence and just been like, so what do you guys want to talk about?
I guess what kind of like balance do you guys want of like? Because I mean, we can do either. We're comfortable doing it.
Yeah,
I think we're really interested to see which one strikes best with you. Do you guys like it when we just throw out anime names, talk about shit,
Yeah.
then move on, or do you like the overall topics? Basically,
Yeah.
That's
Make sure
about
to
it.
smash that motherfucking like button as always and subscribe.
Share the video and go and subscribe to our own channels.
Ring the fucking bell.
Ring the fucking bell.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been Trash Taste, and I'm with the boys. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
I gotta pee real bad.